Occupy Democrats Network, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Twitter, of course, or X, whatever the hell it's called. And we're also on the FM/AM dial as well, and I appreciate all of you joining us. We're going to get to this Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy Kimmel controversy. I don't even think it's much of a controversy. I just think Aaron Rodgers is a douchebag. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. But, I talked to a lot of very interesting people, influential people, Republicans, Democrats, and anybody that knows me well knows I would rather have somebody in studio that I disagree with than somebody that I agree with. You might have heard the name Jay Bloom. Why? Well, Jay Bloom is, I guess you could say he's probably one of the biggest Democrat donors in the world, but he did support a Republican governor here in Nevada, Joe Lombardo. And it appears as though, I don't want to put words in his mouth, that he is supporting Robert F. Kennedy Jr. His son, Sean Bloom, joins us in studio. His son, Sean, was a millionaire at the age of 15. Very influential figure on social media, millions and millions of followers, especially on Instagram. And his son is also a big Robert F. Kennedy Jr. fan. His son has also said on the record to me, I don't think he'd mind me saying this, that he would vote for Donald Trump over Joe Biden. So I kind of want to pick his brain a little bit. Coming from a family that is very much to the left, it's interesting. And Sean joins us in studio right now. Sean, first of all, thank you so much for being here. I feel like every time I see you, you're always not feeling well. You look better today. So are you feeling better?
Yeah, it's just the weather change. I was in Dubai. I was in the Middle East a week ago, and the weather out there was phenomenal.
Weren't you hanging out with like the royal prince family or something?
Yeah, we were in Saudi Arabia. We were, and then just random sheiks like in Qatar and Dubai.
And didn't you stay overnight at the pyramids, right?
Oh yeah, I went to Egypt for a week. That was insane. We spent the night in the pyramids.
How does that happen? A normal everyday person can't do that. Right.
You work out a deal with the Egyptian government,
That's crazy. What was that experience like?
It was absolutely life-changing. The people I was with, too, because we all went as a group together, a group of friends, and we connected with God. Like, it was insane. We made
the pyramids, very spiritual place.
Very spiritual. We made the pyramid shake just with sound.
Wow.
Like shaking like
I
this.
think of the wall in Israel, right? And I think of the pyramids and there are maybe 5 or 6 places in the world that are up there, and certainly the pyramids are right there. So that must have been a
magical.
Really, magical. I can't even imagine. All right, so you come from a family that is very much to the left. I think that is a very fair statement to make. Your father has been, for the most part, a lifelong Democrat, even though he did support the Republican governor, Joe Lombardo, who I would...
He was a Reagan Republican, actually.
Yeah. Oh, he was. Your father. Okay.
Yeah.
But he supported a lot of people on the left last 10, 15 years, right? He's donated
mainly last 10 years.
Yeah.
I'd say 10 years.
Donated millions and millions and millions of dollars to politicians that are on the left.
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay. Well, I want to get to that with you.
Yeah.
I know you're a Robert F. Kennedy Jr. supporter, and we will get to that. I want to start with Donald Trump because you and I have had some good conversations off the air.
Yeah.
If it's Joe Biden versus Donald Trump, you will vote for Donald Trump. Do I have that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, tell me why.
I just think Donald Trump is a more competent person than Biden. I've met both of them. I've spent time with both of them, and I think that Trump himself is honestly between the two. I think Trump is just a stronger leader. I think he would be a better president for the country. I mean, the thing is, like, Robert Kennedy is my favorite person because I think he's the one candidate that can truly unite the country, because even you and I agree with most of the same things when it comes to stuff Robert Kennedy says. You know what I mean? Like, which is crazy because you and I disagree on a lot of major issues, but we also somehow agree to a certain middle ground on a lot of issues, which is why Robert Kennedy is such an important candidate. But taking Robert Kennedy out of the equation, it comes down to Joe Biden and Donald Trump. That's just what it's going to be. Unless, of course, they run Gavin Newsom and he somehow pulls ahead of Biden, which is extremely dangerous.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen either. God forbid that happens.
But let me get this. You're 21 years old, right?
Yeah.
You're 21 years old, and I want to pick the brain of somebody that's 21, because I find a lot of people your age are not Trump supporters. A lot of people your age lean to the left.
Just the loud ones. Just the loud ones that lean to the left. The ones that are out in the street, like with the ones that are out there are the ones that are my age that you see, which is why there's a misconception that my generation mostly leans to the left. But ever since people like Andrew Tate and all these people that have came out, these masculinity people, this and that, a lot of people my age are very rapidly shifting to the other side.
Well, okay,
and
so,
with Elon switching sides, because Elon is very private about his
and for the record, you're friends with Elon Musk, and you talk to him on a weekly basis?
I mean, on and off. I mean, but I can say this, like he he used to be a Democrat. You know, he was part of the Silicon Valley boys. You know, he started there, and it was a very liberal place. And over time, he's seen the direction the party has gone, and he's took a rapid shift to the other side. And I think the interesting thing about the right, more so than the left, and I'm not talking about the radicals, like I'm talking about moderate Republicans, moderate Democrats. I happen to like modern Republicans more than moderate Democrats because the modern Democrats go really far left in most of the people I met. But the right is really good at unifying people.
Okay, but let's go with that. You think Donald Trump has unified the country? Because I would. How? Do you look at the racial divide and the political divide that we have now? We look at January 6th, attacking women on looks, attacking POWs, attacking Gold Star families, saying Mexicans are rapists.
He didn't say that. You need to watch that full clip. As a matter of fact, can you pull up that full clip that they're rapists, they're coming over the border?
I have the exact quote. These people, they're bad people, they're rapists, and I suppose some of them are good people.
Go a little further back.
But does that bring people together? Biden doesn't talk like that. Attacking women on looks?
We could get into the details on that, but I'll say this. Look at the country under Trump, look at the country under Biden. We were much more unified under Trump.
How could 100%. You say that? We had an insurrection.
Insurrection?
How could you say we were more unified under Trump?
The Gaza supporters raided the Capitol like 4 times in the last 2 months, and no one's been reporting on that. Talking about insurrection? The Capitol Police letting people into the Capitol, opening the door for them, was an insurrection.
So that's a little bit of misinformation. Because
it's not misinformation.
Because you're making it seem like every single Capitol Police officer opened the door for people. Hey, come on in. That's exactly not what happened. There were several people that testified, and there was an investigation. And let me ask
I know people that were there too. I know political officials that were there too. And
so you think everybody was
just very sketchy about that situation particularly?
What do you mean?
I mean, if you compare, which I know you're not going to talk about it because you might not even know about it.
I'll talk about anything you want to talk about.
The Gaza supporters raided the Capitol 4 times over the last 2 months or so. Full on raided the Capitol.
Did anybody
get hurt? Yes, many people got hurt.
Anybody
they fought
die?
With Capitol Police. They said that 2 people died, but there's nothing that confirmed. You know, there's nothing confirmed.
So you're saying that there were Gaza insurrections that were more dangerous
4 times
than what took place on January 6th.
Yes.
Okay, you're right. Thing. I'm very unaware of that. You're absolutely
right. I know,
right.
And my dad was unaware of it too. And the crazy thing is, they're not reporting about it. Nowhere. Not even on Fox News, which is interesting.
So there were a couple of protests that I saw of.
You know how I found out about it? I know this kid who's like a huge Gaza supporter, and he lives in Washington, D.C., right? I don't like him. I don't talk to him. But he was posting on his story them going into the Capitol, all of them with Gaza flags, breaking into people's office, throwing stuff, breaking statues, like all of it. All of his Instagram stories. I found out about it through Instagram.
I can't speak to that.
I know.
But because I don't have the details of that, and I would like to think if that anything rose to the level of what took place on January 6th, that it would be covered, and I would not condone that either. But what I will say is what took place on January 6th was a complete embarrassment to this country. I would hope that you would agree with me on that.
I would think that, first of all, I will say this. I traveled the world recently, and I was in the Middle East for a while, and I was in Dubai, I was in Saudi Arabia, I was in Qatar. I had all the Americans telling me, be careful, you're Jewish, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to say this right now. Am I allowed to cuss, by the way? Because it might slip out. Don't cuss, right? Because it's radio.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I'll say this right now, dude. No one on the nice side of the Middle East, particularly the Gulf region, cares about this war at all. Most of them are on Israel's side, actually, which is crazy.
Well, there's a lot of people in Gaza and Israel that care about it.
I'm gonna say this right now. The Middle East, the places that I went to, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, these were the cleanest, nicest, zero homelessness, zero crime places I've ever seen.
Sean,
the streets were so clean.
Sean,
you could eat off them.
I don't doubt that.
No.
But let's go back to what you said about Trump.
But I want to get into this, though. First of all, they all love Trump, by the way. All of them love Trump. All of them think Trump was a great leader. All of them respected Trump. They all do. All of them do.
Then I would respectfully disagree with all of them.
I mean, I like the way their system is governed.
Okay. Well, I can only go by what's going on here, and I believe Donald Trump gave racists a platform to be comfortable in their bigotry. And
my God.
I do not think that Donald Trump is a good leader. And when you look at the attacks, the personal attacks on every single person that disagrees with him, when you look at the way he handled COVID, it's going to go down to 15 cases, down to 0. It's going to be gone by Easter. I just feel
You know
like,
what? We should get people on the phone. How do we get people on the phone?
well, we will do that.
How do
but
we do that?
We will do that. But I will open up the phone lines here in a couple minutes. I will happily do that.
I want to talk to some people.
Absolutely. But you're talking to me right now. And I know that I'm not going to change your mind when it comes to Donald Trump. But
I know I'm not going to change your mind.
Yeah, and that's fine. But I want to have a good conversation with you. I just don't understand how anybody could look at Donald Trump as some sort of leader. He says he only hires the best people, and basically all the people around him are either going to be testifying against him, flipping against him. They're either convicted felons. And for 5 hours, when January 6th was going on, he sat on his ass in the White House and did absolutely nothing.
Not true.
What did he do? Tell me, what did he do in that 5 hours?
Multiple times over, he told people to not raid the Capitol.
Not
raiding the Capitol.
I'm
First
talking-
of all, that whole thing was the most important thing about that was that it was planned a long time in advance, and he was telling people not to go. They were planning to riot the
planned it?
Capitol that day.
Who planned to do way in advance raid the Capitol?
A lot of people.
Who?
A lot of people were planning it.
Are you talking about testimony of the people that were behind bars? Because a lot of people that testified and a lot of people and their attorneys under oath in courts said they did it because of Donald Trump, that they were led there by the words of Donald Trump. A lot of those people are
Yeah.
still in jail right now. So
Yeah.
you're not believing the courts. You're not believing their attorneys.
They were
you're not-
paid to go to jail.
What do you mean they were paid to go
They
to jail?
were paid to go to jail.
Who was paid to go to jail?
That whole insurrection wasn't real.
Who was paid to go to jail?
Well, some of it was. Some people just jumped onto the train
People
and were
died
like,
that
"Yeah,
day.
I know."
140 officers were injured. What do you mean? Who was paid to go to jail? Who? Do you have?
There's so much to that story
Well, I'm
that I
asking
can't
you.
talk about.
But you just made.
But
us-
I'm just gonna tell you this right now.
Yeah.
That entire insurrection, quote unquote, that Trump was allegedly promoting, that's just not what happened. It's not
Okay,
what
so does
happened.
January 6th happen if Donald Trump doesn't say the election was stolen, which, by the way, it wasn't? Does January 6th happen? For months before January 6th, when he said Biden stole the election,
I'll tell you this: if Biden wins again, you're gonna see a lot more insurrections, a lot more riots, a lot more looting in the streets.
okay, well, those people are criminals and idiots. I don't think we should condone that behavior.
Biden supporters.
Well, first of all,
Most of the crime.
the
Because
people
they're not tough
the
on
people
crime.
that were there on January 6th were not Biden supporters. You do know that, right? These were Trump supporters. What do you mean,
They weren't even Trump supporters.
What do you mean?
The whole thing was. There's so much to it, bro.
There was under oath. They were all had their day in the courts.
Yeah.
And these were a lot of people that were from right wing fringe groups. People.
Yep.
The woman that died was a huge Trump supporter, and they had a history. Social media postings. You don't think those people were Trump supporters?
I like how you like to focus on the Capitol so much, and that's all you can always go back to. when
Absolutely not. I
you
can
want to
talk about-
completely ignore all the way the state of the country is now over the last few years compared to how it was.
And why
under
is
Trump.
that? And why is that?
San Francisco, New York City, all the best cities in America are falling apart because it is overtaken by liberals, particularly who are not tough on crime. I could go into a Gucci store, take stuff, walk out, no punishment.
And that's
nothing.
Joe Biden's fault?
Yeah.
Joe Biden creates policy in San Francisco?
No, I'm talking about local government, state government, and federal government. It's all three of them.
Okay. Serious
All three of
crimes.
them.
You do know, though, that the last
Biden passes certain policies for the entire country that are similar fashion to that. But the best part is states have independence. Like federal government will always reign over state government, but state governments are fighting back.
So I
against
don't
some of these policies.
always bring up January 6th. I do believe
You do. Every time I've talked to
I
you
do-
on and off
I do believe-
camera, all you bring up is January 6th.
Well,
you're just like my dad.
I bring up.
You wanna ignore the last
Your
4
dad has
times
billions of
we're in.
dollars. I'm definitely not like your dad, but
well, and he's actually listening to me because he's starting to wake up because I'm introducing him to other billionaires that actually know what's going on in the world.
which is a good thing. But the
he
reason
did that
why,
recently, and that's why he didn't know. He was
but Sean,
brainwashed.
well, I don't think I'm brainwashed. I can only speak for myself, and I believe January 6th was an embarrassing day for this country. I believe Donald Trump using the verbiage. Well, wait, hold on. You're laughing. You don't think?
Because I'm laughing because the country is way more of a laughing stock now than it was under Biden. I'm telling you, if you're worried about what the rest of the world thinks, I was around the rest of the
Why
world.
is this country a laughing stock?
Because of Biden.
Be specific.
They think
What
Biden is a
policies?
weak leader. They think the homelessness
Who's
and
they?
the crime and
Who's
the bad
they?
stuff, the rest of the world.
We didn't have homelessness under Donald Trump.
It's so much worse now.
And
it's
what-
so much worse
and
now.
what
I was
policies
I was in San Francisco under Trump. It was not as bad as
That's
it was
not
under
Joe
Biden.
Biden's fault.
It is.
Joe
It
Joe
is.
Biden and Donald Trump have no control over what takes place in San Francisco. That's the leadership there, and I agree
There are
with you.
federal policies that were put in place.
What
that
federal
override
policies?
state policies that let crime go crazy.
Okay, so
it's insane. It's the same thing with homelessness.
If you look at murders and serious crimes in this country, they've been way down the last 3 years. You can look that up.
Okay.
You can look that up if you don't believe me.
Dude,
if you don't believe the stats, if you don't believe the stats, that's cool. I don't always bring up January 6th.
You do every time, actually. Every time you brought up January 6th.
Well, because
it's your main talking point.
No, so
it's one of your main talking points.
So here's the thing.
Here's the thing. Every time we've talked.
I don't have talking points. It's very simple to me. I want to vote for people that are decent human beings. Okay? I don't think Donald Trump's a good guy. I think he's a bad guy. He's bad for the country. He's said he wants to.
Biden.
Okay, well, if you want to compare the two, because Joe Biden hasn't had 25 women that have accused him of sexual assault or rape. Well, you say, oh, God, and you just throw it out the window. His own ex-wife accused him of rape in court documents, and I know you don't want to. That's the reality of it, Sean. And if you don't want to look me in the face and say, you know what, you're right, Donald Trump is a bad guy, then you're entitled to that.
Matrix attacks.
But I'm sorry, dude. I vote for people that I think are decent human beings, and I think
go ahead and vote for Biden then. Let's see how this election turns out.
And I think Donald Trump is a complete scumbag. He wants to throw up parts of the Constitution. He wants to use his 4 years. No, it's good.
Congratulations.
It's not me. I'm talking about what he said.
You're expressing your opinion.
Retribution. He wants. It's not an opinion. This is the words of Donald Trump.
No, you just said Donald Trump is a disgusting human.
Well, that's an opinion.
That's an opinion.
Sure. You think Trump's a good guy?
Yeah.
Really?
He is.
You think he's a good dude?
He really is.
Really?
Yeah.
What would make you think that Donald Trump is a good human being?
He's done a lot for the people around him.
What has he done?
He really has.
Well,
He's
tell
helped
me.
people out of some bad situations.
What has he done? Tell me.
It's not up to me to disclose that type of stuff. Like, it's his personal business. I don't want to talk about it. He's helped a lot of people, though. He's helped a lot of people around him. And I think he did good things for this country. I think he kept the country very peaceful for those 4 years.
You think the country was peaceful under Trump?
Yeah.
Sending pipe bombs to CNN.
Pipe bombs to CNN?
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody did that because of Donald Trump's rhetoric and calling CNN fake
that
news.
Wasn't Donald Trump. People have done a lot of stuff because of Joe Biden.
Has Joe Biden incited violence?
Yes.
Tell me what.
Many times.
What did he say?
By allowing the state of the country to be the way it is, not doing anything about it.
That's policy differences you don't like. That doesn't mean he's inciting violence.
By not doing anything? By saying they're not doing anything?
Not doing anything as far as what?
How did Trump incite violence?
How did Trump incite violence? Well, I'll take you a direct quote from when he was running for president.
Okay.
There were a few protesters yelling some things out at one of his rallies, for example, and he said, boy, I'd like to punch that guy in the face, and if somebody punches him in the face, I'll pay your legal fees. You can't even give me an incitement more than that. I don't think that's funny. Well, you think that's funny. I don't think that's funny. That's inciting violence, quite frankly. And when you talk about the Proud Boy members, who the Poverty and Law Center call a hate group because they are, and he says stand back and stand by, and he doesn't call out a hate group like the Proud Boys, I think that's very bad for the country. You disagree with me? You disagree?
Dude, let's just see what happens in the election. You go vote for Biden, and let's see what happens.
Well, if it's Biden versus Trump, I will absolutely vote for Joe Biden.
I know you will.
I'm just surprised that you think Donald Trump is a good guy. That's all. But we'll take some calls. I'm going to do what you want to do, and we'll take some calls.
I just want to see, because I know your audience. I know who's probably listening to this right now, but I want to see if there's some real ones out there.
So my audience, I get phone calls from both people on the left and people on the right. This isn't a liberal audience. I get phone calls from all sorts of different people that agree and disagree with me.
Good.
So that's an assumption. That's not true. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Put on those headphones. Rupert, I believe Rupert is first up on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Rupert.
Okay, while your side was peacefully burning, looting, and killing dozens of black people, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris started a fund to bail them out of jail. Is that inciting violence, boy?
So first of all, my name is not Boy.
I like you, bro.
Okay, so first of all, your name is not Boy. My name is not Boy. That's number one. Don't refer to me as Boy. Number two, Kamala Harris put up a fund so that they can get legal representation. Not that they could get bailed out. So you obviously have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, Boy. Okay, Boy? So if you want to talk to me with respect, then I'll talk to you with respect. But if you're going to be a MAGA moron, then you could have a nice day.
So bailing out the criminals...
They didn't calm him down again. Hey, dum-dum. They didn't bail anybody out, stupid. Here's exactly what happened, okay? Kamala Harris raised funds so they can get legal representation. That's not bailing them out. You see, bailing them out would be if Kamala Harris said, hey, here's some money, and I'm going to raise that money so that person can get bail. Sir, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, boy. Would you like to say anything else, ignorant?
All right, I won't call you.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, boy. I appreciate that. Anything else you'd like to say, boy?
I'll call you woman.
Thank you.
I like you, bro. You're
what a
cool.
shocker that a MAGA supporter now.
Rupert, you're cool.
Yeah, what a shocker that the MAGA supporter also says something negative about a woman. Have a nice day, sir. You sound like a very intelligent individual. See, that wasn't a liberal that called, and that was a MAGA.
I like that guy.
Okay, yeah. Well, why should I say I'm not surprised? 702-221-7283. Somebody who calls me boy, who then shames women and doesn't know his facts. 702-221-7283. Who should we go to next? Patrick? All right, let's go to Patrick next. Hello, Patrick.
Hey, guys. Hey, for somebody that's been dealing with the Democratic Party for years, I guess, been given millions of dollars to, what are your thoughts on them not allowing RFK on the ballot? Now it sounds like they're knocking other nominees off the ballot to only allow Biden. I guess they're doing that in the name of democracy.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think it's wrong. And I think, first of all, democracy doesn't even exist anymore in America. It's really not. We were never a democracy in the first place. We're a republic, so we vote other stupid people in, and the people voting are stupid.
I find it interesting, though, Sean, that you all of a sudden care about democracy to the guy who tried to overturn the outcome of the election.
That's not at all what I said. I said democracy doesn't exist. It hasn't.
Don't you think
existed.
that's
we are not a
important?
democracy?
Exactly.
Don't you think that democracy is kind of important and we should have that in this
No,
country?
I think the people voting are stupid.
So you don't think we should have a democracy?
Dude, honestly, I'm going to be completely honest with you. And we're not a democracy. We're a republic. We're not a democracy. We vote other people in to make decisions for us. That's the literal definition of republic. We are a republic.
But we
We're
have
not
the
a
right.
democracy.
We have the right to vote for who we want to vote for.
If it were
right?
true democracy, it would just be anarchy. It would be anarchy.
Mob rule.
I would say that's what we had on January 6th. Anarchy.
See, January 6th, you go back to that, but you're
Because
not
you're
talk
talking about democracy.
The last 4 times the Capitol got raided by
Nothing
Gaza
to the
supporters,
level of
by
what
the
took
way.
place on January 6th.
Yes, it was.
No.
They just didn't report on
How many
it.
officers were injured?
A lot. They didn't
A
report
lot.
the numbers.
Okay,
dude.
well, what are the numbers? Tell me.
I don't have the numbers. They didn't report them.
You don't have the numbers, but you're saying they're more serious than January 6th.
Yes.
And you don't have the numbers. Does
I don't
that make
have the
any
numbers.
sense, Sean?
Nope. January 6th, dude. Oh
You
my
don't
God.
have the numbers. You don't know if anybody died. You don't know how many people were injured, but it's definitely more serious than January 6th. All right. Patrick, go ahead. I'll give you the last word. Go ahead.
Well, this Epstein client list that nobody's really talking about on the left is another just example of how our judicial system
The
is bought
Epstein
and
list.
paid for
Okay,
public-
so Patrick, the list wasn't released yet, and when you say nobody's talking about it on the left, CNN led with that story all day today and yesterday. You don't know what your MSNBC was talking about the
my
Epstein
point
story.
is
All well, no,
ABC
your point is ignorant.
They're
You just
talking
said
about earthquakes.
You just said the left isn't covering it. You're wrong.
They're
You
talking
say
about
things that are wrong. Why is it you MAGA people always say things that are
Brian,
incorrect?
let me make a point here. The
You-
case is the judges were supposed to release this information days ago, and now they pushed it back to
Yeah, it
January.
got delayed. That's true. It did get delayed. The
Yeah,
client
well,
list got
sometimes
delayed.
in our court system, things get delayed. It's why Donald Trump's attorneys are trying to delay all 4 of his indictments. But I bet you don't have a problem with that, do you, Patrick?
The fake indictments.
What do you mean the fake
This
indictments?
isn't about Donald.
What's fake about the indictments?
That was my comment. My bad.
Patrick, are you still there? All right, Patrick.
This
go
isn't
ahead.
about Donald Trump. Well, we're talking about the Epstein leaks and about how they're being protected.
And what about it? And what about it?
Well, just like the ABC reporter that got the clip that she had the story, but ABC and all these news networks wouldn't go with it. The media was complicit while all this child trafficking and rape was going on, and now the judicial system is protecting these people that were taking part in this stuff.
Gotcha.
They're not releasing the names.
Gotcha. So where's
So all of the-
where's your evidence that there's somebody in regards to this Epstein story that molested children and somehow people on the left hid it because they didn't want them to go to jail? Can you please give me the name and the evidence that would
I'm
lead you to
talking
believe
about
that?
the judicial system. I'm talking about ABC News, NBC News, CNN.
What about it? What about it?
John McCain's wife came out and said everybody knew what he was doing and nobody did anything. Bill Gates' wife came out and said she knew what was going on, that he was evil.
So
and nobody
because
did anything.
John McCain's wife made a statement and a general statement that everybody knew what was going on, that would lead you to believe that everybody's been hiding the fact that all these. And by the way, are you making the claim that it's only people on the left that were friends with Jeffrey Epstein? Because that would also be a lie.
No, I think it's all of the people in the establishment. I think they've all been blackmailed. We had Barney Frank that was running a brothel in Washington, D.C., but yet nobody really talked about that. They were blackmailing people. This is all known stuff, Brian, but you don't want to acknowledge it.
Okay, you claim.
You protect these people.
Excuse me, what the hell are you talking about? You have no idea what you're. Anybody that molested children, if there's any evidence that took place, then I want those people in jail for the rest of their lives. I'm not protecting anybody. You have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, and you're a tinfoil conspiracy theorist, Patrick. That's what you are.
You only talk
how
about
big is your
January 6th
how big is
gun
your
violence.
no I talk about no I talk about
15th
no I talk
murders
I talk about no here's what I do. I talk about people like you
Patrick,
every single day.
Patrick, you're cool, bro. I like you.
Yeah, well, another tinfoil
I need to come out and
theorist.
hang out with you, buddy, for
Yeah,
sure.
you're cool, dude. I like you.
Yeah.
You're a real one.
Don't come around here, Patrick, because I don't have any extra tinfoil for that big hat of yours, but have a nice day.
I would love for Patrick.
702
and Rupert.
702 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Again,
I love this audience.
702-221-7283. Let's go to Henry. Henry is next. What's up, Henry?
Hey, Bloom. Good job, man. Keep talking those facts that Shapiro hides from.
What fact am I hiding from?
Okay, oh my God, I love this audience.
So let's start from one. Henry, can you name me one fact that you would claim that I'm hiding from? Name me one.
Just like he said, the Palestinians have been raiding the capitals. They've been raiding the New York subways. And you act like you don't even know, but you're a reporter.
No, hey, dumbbell, pot him down again. Another idiot that doesn't know what I do for a living. First of all, I'm not a journalist. I'm not a reporter. Clearly, you don't know the difference between that and a talk show host. I'm an opinionated talk show host. I'll give you some journalism 101, Henry, because obviously you don't know the difference. That's number one, okay? Number two, I never said that there weren't any Palestinians that didn't commit violent actions
all you talk
and
about
commit
is January
crimes.
6th. That's all you talk about is January 6th.
You just brought it up again.
You brought it up four times today.
Okay, because we were talking
the same
about
amount of times they raided the Capitol.
Because they were talking about Donald Trump. Now, Sean doesn't seem to know how many people were hurt when it comes to Palestinians. Sean doesn't seem to know how many people were hurt, how many people were killed.
Supports Palestine.
Okay, well, again, Sean, that's a ridiculous statement. But if you want to give me actual facts to what these Palestinian people did, then I'll be happy to have that conversation with you. Obviously, the guy that's on the air right now, Henry, has no idea what he's talking about. Henry, how many people were killed? How many people were injured by these Palestinians in the United States? Do you have the figures?
Hey,
I'm
still waiting for the judge to send me.
That's not what I asked you. Pot him down again. Pot him down again. Henry, I'm asking you another question. You said I hide away from facts. Now you're talking about how I don't want to talk about the Palestinians that raided the Capitol. I'm asking you a question. How many Palestinians raided the Capitol? How many people were injured? How many people were killed? Answer the question or be quiet. Exactly. Have a nice day, Henry. Pure silence by another MAGA.
You're dope.
Yeah, well, again.
You're cool, Henry. I love this audience. All of you are cool.
Yeah. 702-221. It's very cool to claim that I'm lying about something and then
you guys are real ones.
Then have zero evidence to back up anything.
I want everyone to know that we're not going to have to argue about this anymore after 2024.
So. 702-221-7283. Again, 702-221-SAVE, even though I can't say some of you tinfoil hat people. Let's go to Kevin. Kevin is next on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Kevin.
Hi, Brian. How are you today?
A little fired up, but I'm doing okay.
Okay, let me help you out then. Sean, you've spoken quite a bit about a lot of things, and it seems like every time you are poised with a question, you answer it with a question, so you avoid it. So please answer me one question. You've stated time and time again that things have gone wrong under Biden. Name the policy that brought these. Because things don't go wrong on other parts of the world. You talked about New York and San Francisco, all because of things Biden has done. Please name the policy without asking me a question.
Okay. So first of all, I haven't said very much. I just ask questions because I'm just honestly too lazy to argue right now.
Okay. No. You're not being lazy, Sean. What you are, you're doing what's called deflecting. It's whataboutism. If someone asks you a question that you cannot intelligently answer, you just ask a question that's even more ridiculous, or it deflects off of it. So I'm asking very respectfully, very kindly, what has he done policy-wise in order to have all this chaos and all the other stuff, even though inflation is at one of the all-time low?
You really believe that?
It's a fact. Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Wow.
That's factual.
Oh,
See, that's one of the problems that MAGA has. When you actually go and look up and investigate rather than take it off of a meme on TikTok, you go, well, I'll just say it's not true. It's all fake news. But these aren't fake news.
I'll also add something else, if I may.
Hired.
If you notice, this
Please.
caller hasn't called you boy. He hasn't disrespected you. He hasn't resorted to ad hominem attacks to start the conversation. He's been very respectful to you, unlike the last 3 callers that attacked me from the get-go.
well, you were yelling at them. Off
Well,
the
if
get-go.
somebody starts and attacks me
be
without
fair.
being respectful, I'm going to attack back. But, Sean, I kept him on the line. I think that's a very fair question.
Very fair question.
So
Yeah,
I
asking
give you
about
the
specific
opportunity to
Biden
answer it.
policies, right?
What's up?
Specific Biden policies.
Yeah. So what do you think?
By the way, can you hear him without the headphones?
yes, I can.
Oh, you can?
So
I didn't even need the headphones.
So he's still on the line.
All right. Anyways,
I'm here.
So anyways, I kind of want to start with the inflation thing, because inflation being at an all-time low, I mean, if you open your eyes, you can tell that it's not at an all-time low. Gas prices,
No,
grocery
it's
prices, taxes,
at less than 4%.
homelessness,
It's
crime
at less than
rate.
4%. No,
Everything
you
is
just
more
said- you
expensive
said
now.
inflation.
40%
And
of all
you
the
know
money
what?
ever printed has been printed in the last couple of years. 40%
Okay.
of all the money.
Thank you. Let me ask you. Here's a
All
great
of
question.
the other
then.
countries around
Where-
the world are switching their reserve currencies from U.S. dollar to Chinese yuan. There's a reason they're doing that. It's because the U.S. dollar is failing and it's on the brink of economic collapse. And you might not know that,
Okay.
right? I don't know your financial position. I don't know who you know, right? But I'm telling you this right now. There's a reason why a lot of wealthy people are moving their money out of this country. They're moving it to other currencies. India, who's one of our biggest allies, the Middle East, China and Russia are taking over everything right now. They're swooping in, and everyone is turning on us right now. And our only ally really
Okay.
is Europe, and Europe is a disaster right now, especially the
But
big
again,
parts of it.
you
like
have
London.
yet to answer. This is what, again.
Well, I'm starting
done
with inflation.
exactly
I'm
what
starting
I
with
expect.
inflation.
Right.
I'm not. I asked
I'm just
you
starting
right
with
in
inflation.
the very beginning. I'm starting with policy. That's what I'm asking.
Right, I'm starting with
You have
inflation. I'm
stated
answering
time and
the
time
I'm answering
again.
the second part of your thing.
It's grab your phone
Grab your phone.
right now. I'm driving. I can't.
Oh, okay,
Grab
I'm
your
driving
phone
too.
because it's. No, you're not. You're sitting in the studio.
No, I'm driving.
No, I'm watching it. I'm watching the show on YouTube. Thank you.
I'm driving this conversation.
No, you're driving the conversation into the ground. I'm trying to keep it civil.
I think he's trying to ask you a specific question about what
Biden's
specific policies, and you haven't named one.
All you
I'm
have
starting with
okay, if you
inflation.
if
yeah, but
you
that's
want
not,
to get
second part of
inflation's
it.
not a policy.
get on inflation,
Well, he said inflation's at an
All right, you wanna get an
That's
inflation.
not correct.
it's
That's not true.
then grab your phone right now and look up current United States
Which phone?
inflation rate. Your phone, not mine.
Which one?
Okay, but
I
listen,
don't care.
if
The
you don't-
gold,
if
the
you don't
gold
listen,
one that your father
I
gave
can give you
Just
specific
please.
That my
policies.
father gave me?
I can give you specific policies that I don't like. Some that worked, some that didn't work under Donald Trump. I could also say the same about Joe Biden.
Right.
But I think it's a fair question that he's asking when he's asking you specific policies that you don't agree with when it comes to Joe Biden that you think hurt the economy. I think it's a very fair question. That's all.
Yeah, it is 100%. Specific policies under Biden, federal policies that he came out with.
Yeah.
That
Anything
directly
that you
affect-
disagree with.
That directly affects specifically
Yeah.
what we were talking about, like
Sure.
crime rate or inflation or
Sure,
anything like
absolutely. Yep.
that, right? Right, okay. As far as specific policies goes, I can't name specific policies that he came out with, right? I can't name policies Trump came out with, right? Because I don't have them in front of me on a piece of paper. But what I can do is look at everything around me right now and compare it to how it was before. And right now, it's not looking as good as it used to, unfortunately.
Unemployment.
Well,
is the
you
lowest
also
rate it's
have to
been in
remember.
50
You have
years.
to remember another thing, Sean, is that under the Trump era, a major portion of it was during COVID. COVID numbers went through the. Now I'm in the liquor industry. My COVID numbers were through the roof. I cannot compare anything. 2023 is going to be a baseline because you can't compare 19, 20, 21, or 22 back to back because it was through the roof. And that's because people were buying things for home, right? So
They
when
didn't
you
drink
have
enough
some
alcohol.
gases, Gas was at an all-time low. Why? Because people weren't driving.
Correct.
Oil companies are producing record profits. Why?
Correct.
Because they're playing off the inflation.
Right.
This is not made up. This is not right-wing or left-wing news. These are what we call facts. And I appreciate having a conversation, and I could have respectful conversations with people who disagree with me. No problem.
And you know what?
But
Can I just interject real quick to what you were saying? If somebody calls into the show and they say, Brian, I respectfully disagree with you. I think Trump's a great leader. Here's why. I could have I might not agree with them, but I can have respectful conversations. But when somebody who I assume is a MAGA supporter starts the conversation by calling me boy and calls me a liar and has
that guy called you boy.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's blatantly ignorant and disrespectful, and I'm not going to have respectful conversations with idiots. I just can't. There are plenty of people that I disagree with that we have respectful conversations on and off the air. In fact, I've had some of those with you. But when somebody starts a conversation by insulting you and calling you a liar, and then I respond by saying, what did I lie about? And then they stutter, and all of a sudden they can't talk. That's not a very intelligent person. And I'm not going to waste my time with a caller like that. And I think that's where this gentleman's coming from. He disagrees with you, but he hasn't called you names. He's been very respectful to you. And I think that's the way it should go, right? It might be more entertaining when people on the left might hear me go after a MAGA supporter, but if they're respectful to me, I'm going to be respectful to them.
Like I said, Brian, thank you for taking my call.
I appreciate your call, Kevin. Thank you so much.
You have a great day, sir.
You too. 702. Let's take some more calls. I don't know what's in the crayon box here. Let's find out. 702-221-7283. Sean Bloom joining us in studio with his lavishly good-looking brown leather jacket. 702-221-7283. Julie is next. Hello, Julie. What's going on?
Hi, Brian. How you doing today?
Blood pressure's a little high, but I'm doing okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Let me say hi to Sean. Thank you, Sean, for your engagement. Brian, let me talk to your audience in regards to inflation. I remember the British Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli. He said there are three kinds of lies: damn lies, and statistics. Okay. So for those people saying that we don't have inflation and that we are improving, that's a lie. That's a lie, because if you have not been to the grocery store or to put gas or to pay utility, rent.
Okay, but respectfully, I have to interject because you meant respectfully, Julie. I have to interject because you mentioned the word lie, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to misstate your opinions. Mm-hmm. Aren't you the person that believes in the big lie that Donald Trump won the 2020 election? Because if you're going to talk about truth and lies,
stay on topic. Stay on topic, Brian.
No, this is deflecting.
No, I'm not deflecting at all. You're talking about the economy, and now you're an economist. Yesterday you said you're a nurse. Today you're an economist. Don't you believe in the big lie? Please answer the question. You believe that Donald Trump won the 2020 election, right, Julie? Yes or no?
The economy is the worst has ever been. The economy, the homelessness situation is the worst has ever been.
Yep.
What are you talking about?
You can't deny that.
By the way, is your name Katrine? Because I'm hearing from listeners you're not Julie. Your name is Katrine. Is that true?
I am Julie. I'm not Katrine.
Okay, I'll go by your word that you're Julie. So
I'm Julie.
So tell me this then. How do you think our response was to COVID? Did Trump do a really good job?
Absolutely. Do you remember when he said?
So when he said 15 cases down to 0 and it's going to be gone by Easter, you thought that was a great way of handling COVID and using COVID press conferences as propaganda and campaign rallies. You thought that was great leadership?
New York City and Cuomo rejected it. Do you remember that?
I'm sorry. What? Say that. Repeat that.
Do you remember when Trump sent the comfort ship to New York City and Cuomo rejected it?
I don't
Julie,
know what that has to do with
Julie,
my question.
I have a question. What's your nationality?
Cuban American.
You're Cuban, right?
But I'm American. I don't like to be, included in a minority because I consider myself American. Very proud.
I just want to say you sound like a good, hardworking woman, and you know what you're talking about.
Today she's an
and
economist.
I know it's hard for you to
Yesterday she's a
argue
nurse.
because Brian is a better arguer than most people, and that's why I think he's always right.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you this
I don't
right
think
now.
I'm always right.
You don't have to worry.
Thank
In
you.
2024, we're not going to have to be arguing about all this anymore. Everything is going to be fine. Trump will win.
Julie, who
Thank
won
you,
in 2020,
Sean.
Trump or Biden?
I disagree with your opinion because I have seen.
Julie, I'm going to ask it again.
Why,
Please answer the question. Who won in 2020, Trump or Biden?
You cannot force me to ask.
You're
your
okay.
question,
Have a nice day
Brian.
then. If you're not going to answer my questions, then I'm not going to keep you on the line.
Nice
By the
to
way,
meet you, Julie.
I've asked Julie that question before. She thinks Trump won the 2020 election, so she probably thinks the earth is flat. Julie, don't lecture me on lies and truth because you can't even spell the word fact. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. We have another Kevin on the line now. Kevin, thank you for calling in. You're on with Sean Bloom. Go right ahead.
Hey, Kevin. Nice to meet you.
Kevin,
Hi,
are you there?
guys. Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead, Kevin.
Hey guys. Yeah, I don't think the Earth is flat, and
Yeah, the earth is not flat.
Well, I'm glad we agree on that.
Yeah, we can all agree on the earth not being flat.
Yeah, Kyrie Irving would
Okay.
disagree, but go ahead, Kevin.
Kyrie Irving thinks the earth is flat?
well, who's Kyrie Irving?
Kyrie Irving's an NBA player.
He's a sumo wrestler. Go ahead, Kevin.
Sumo wrestler.
Oh yeah, okay.
Just a joke, Kevin. I'm sorry. Don't sue me.
It, years ago, there was a black family that was all, I don't know, a bunch of them was murdered and stuff. And
Okay.
was that Jennifer Hudson's family?
Okay, so it wasn't a family that was murdered. It was one of her family members that was murdered. I'm not sure what that has to do with what we're talking about, but I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
Okay, well, you were talking earlier about one thing Trump has done. Well, he gave her a place to live for nothing. In
Okay,
Trump Tower.
very nice. That doesn't change my opinions on Donald Trump one bit. You could have somebody that works in a soup kitchen and they could still be a rapist. So your point makes absolutely no sense. You could do nice things in your life and still be a horrible person. So your point makes absolutely no sense. Please continue.
That was a good point. It's just something.
Well,
Trump-
you were trying to get instances where Trump has done good things.
No, I
Yeah,
never
there were
asked.
earlier.
I never asked for an instance where Trump did nice things in his life. I asked for instances of policy that worked in this country
You were
that
also
made
asking
him a
about the
good
content
leader.
of his character.
That made him a good leader.
You were asking
And
about
if you
the
want to
content of
talk
his
about
character.
Donald Trump's character because he did something nice for Jennifer Hudson, doesn't mean he's a great guy. Would you say it's a good guy when you attack a POW for being captured? I don't respect him because he was captured multiple times, dodging the military, kids with multiple ex-wives, having unprotected sex with a porn star just months after Melania had Barron. But hey, he did something nice for Jennifer Hudson, right, sir? So that must mean he's a great guy. You make absolutely no sense.
It was one point. He's just saying Trump did one good
Yeah,
thing.
and it's
Trump
idiotic, but go ahead,
It's not
Kevin.
idiotic.
Yeah, jeez.
So Kevin,
Well,
because he did
well,
something nice for
there's a
Jennifer
lot of
Hudson, that means
incoming
Donald Trump
there,
is a
pal.
model citizen? Is that what you're saying?
I never said that.
Okay, so please make
you
your
like-
point and continue. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, earlier you were talking about policy. Right off the bat, Joe eliminated catch and release and opened the border to, I mean, he stood on the debate stage before the election and said, surge the border, surge the border. Well, they certainly have.
So you agree that Donald Trump's policy was really good as far as immigration policy? Would that be a fair statement by your standards? Is that fair,
He did
accurate? So when
he
Donald
did
Trump said he was
everything-
going to build a
You
wall,
didn't even let him answer the question.
because there's a reason why I say that. When Donald Trump said he was going to build a wall, if we're talking about immigration policy, and Mexico is going to pay for it, would you say that was a failed policy, sir? Because he only built 16% of the wall and Mexico didn't pay for it, right?
How many thousands of troops did Mexico
That's not
put
what
on
I
there?
asked you. Don't answer a question with a question. When Donald Trump campaigned
you
in
answer questions with questions.
In 2016, Donald Trump campaigned on two things. We're going to build a wall, and Mexico's going to pay for it. He didn't build the wall. Mexico didn't pay for it. He said he was going to lock up Hillary Clinton. Would you say that those were two failed policies, sir? Yes or no?
Yeah, they were.
Well, due to the
Thank
fact
you, Sean.
that
This guy won't answer the
well,
question.
they were, dude. It was campaign promises, bro. A lot of people don't come through on campaign promises.
Okay, but I'm
There
just
was
asking this
11
gentleman if he wants to talk about
lawsuits.
immigration. Go ahead.
for the first 2 years, there was 11 lawsuits brought against anything trying to secure the border. and that slowed things down immensely.
So it was because of
He fought
lawsuits.
tooth-
Okay, I understood. So do you think Joe Biden is responsible for all the fentanyl overdoses in this country?
Well, a wide open border certainly.
First of all, the border's not wide open. That's a lie. Number two, do you know how many people died of drug overdoses during the Trump administration, sir?
Come in through the open border.
Man,
I'm
you
asking you a
absolutely
question. Do you know how many people died of drug overdoses during the Trump administration? Yes or no? If you do, I'd love to hear you out.
More under Biden.
I don't know. The last
You don't
I
know.
heard,
Okay,
it was
so I'll give you
100,000
an answer now, and I'll educate you. Since you're defending Donald Trump, over 300,000 Americans died. But you know what? You know what the difference is between me and you? I don't blame Donald Trump for every drug overdose. My sister died last year, and you know what I don't do, sir? Like you, I don't blame Joe Biden. It's not a Republican problem. It's not a Democrat problem. It's an American problem. We've had issues at the border since I've been alive for decades and decades and decades. It's not a Democrat problem or a Republican problem. It's an American problem. And until people like you, yes, I'm talking about you, sir, stop blaming one side of the aisle for all the problems in this country and our immigration issues, it's pathetic. We have a drug problem in this country. We have a border problem in this country. The border is not
Don't
wide open,
hyperventilate.
and it's not all Joe Biden's fault. What did you say?
Take a
I'm sorry.
breath.
What did you say?
I said, just take a breath, slow down a second here.
Please don't tell me how to do my own
You
show.
gotta say go off, sis.
I'm giving
I
you
like
the
that.
opportunity to respond, even though everything you said doesn't make any sense. But go ahead.
Okay, yes, it's not, I agree, it's not one side or the other. When Trump first got in, there's all these never-Trumpers, including Paul Ryan, who now is, I don't know, some executive at Fox News. He fought and tried to keep a lot of Trump's legislation from even coming up for a vote. The never-Trumper...
Gotcha. So you don't want to put any
uniparty-
responsibility on Donald Trump. It's everybody else's fault but Donald Trump. The lawsuits, not Donald Trump's fault. Paul Ryan, it's Paul Ryan's fault. But it's not Donald Trump's fault that he only made promises of building a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. It's everybody else's fault. That's why you take one side. You haven't blamed Donald Trump for anything. It's all Joe Biden's fault, right, sir?
Good God Almighty!
It's Paul Ryan's fault. Do you blame Donald Trump for anything? Has he done anything wrong when he was president?
Well, I don't know.
You
Yeah,
don't
I'm
know.
sure
Okay,
there's
so you're right. Donald Trump's perfect. He's never made a mistake.
He was
What
just
a
saying
wonderful
that Trump
presidency.
did make mistakes. He was just saying that.
I haven't heard
Before
him
you
blame Donald
walk
Trump
on-
for anything in this entire phone call. He's
Fucking
defended Trump.
Christ.
I know you can't talk. I know.
Yeah,
It's hard.
yeah. Well,
But
all
I
I've-
like you, Kevin. I like
all
you
I've
better
heard
than
in
the
this
other Kevin.
all I've heard in this conversation from Kevin is that 11 lawsuits somehow are the reasons why Donald Trump couldn't build the wall, which, by the way, is not true. Kevin has no idea what he's talking about. And then he actually blamed Paul Ryan for the immigration failures of Donald Trump. Hey, here's something for you. Have we ever heard a Republican talk about those who overstay their visas? We have more people in this country undocumented because they overstay their visas than people that are crossing the border. And another thing Kevin said is that the borders are wide open. No, they're not. They're not completely wide open. That's not true. But again, par for the course. All right, we'll open up the phone line, 702 again, 702-221-7283. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. We haven't even spoken to Sean yet about Robert F. Kennedy Jr., so I definitely want to get to that. Gary, what's going on? You're next on Pushing the Limits. What's up, Gary?
Brian, I want to tell you something. I don't believe that the world is flat. I do believe that we actually landed on the moon. My bear is getting a little flat,
did we land on
but
the
I
moon?
have to compliment you because what you're doing without taking 100 vitamins a day and the way you answer phone calls, I have to compliment you. Even though I'm an independent, registered independent like you are, but
Gotcha.
we're different sections of the aisle. I'm in the third dimension of politics here. Is that Chris Wynn with you?
No, we have Sean Bloom in studio.
Hey, what's up, bro?
Oh, I've
Sean
never
is
met
the
him.
son of Jay Bloom, who's a friend of mine who's, of course, done the show multiple times. Jay's a great
All
guy,
right.
and Sean's nice enough to come in. He knew that this was
Oh.
going to happen, but he knew it.
I-
He knew we were going to get
I'll
into
be
it, but
brief.
he's still here, and he's a stand-up guy for doing that. Sean, you're talking to Sean.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Sean, nice to meet you. I have to give this radio show guy a lot of kudos because
your check's in the
he
mail,
has the
Gary. I
guts and he
appreciate
has the intellect to take one phone call after another and just. That's my big argument with these right wing guys. A few of them take a few calls, some take no calls, and a couple take one call. And say that they're local and all this stuff. I give you a lot of kudos.
I appreciate those compliments. Your check is in the mail, sir. I hate to say this, Gary,
but
people that compliment me
wait.
make me feel
I didn't
very
get to my
uncomfortable. I'd
punchline.
rather have people call me names. No, I'm just kidding. Gary, no, I appreciate your kind words, sir. Thank you so much. We got to get to some other callers, but it's good to hear from you, and I hope you had a good New Year, my friend. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Gary. 702-221.
He was totally about to say something else. You cut it off.
Gary, I got to get to some other callers. Compliments make me very...
Gary, you should have spoken faster, bro. Come on.
Compliments make me very uncomfortable, Sean. What can I say?
I will say this about the right-wingers. You guys need to learn how to talk faster.
You need to learn how to talk to somebody without starting a conversation.
Unless you're Ben Shapiro. You should bring Ben Shapiro on here.
That weasel.
I love Ben Shapiro.
Your thoughts, of course. Your thoughts don't care about your feelings. Your thoughts don't care about your feelings, and then he goes on tours and
he
thinks
says facts don't care about your feelings. Not
he
your
goes.
thoughts don't care about your feelings.
He
That'd
goes
be canceling it out.
He goes on these tours
Just facts
debating
don't
a
care
bunch of
about
18-year-old liberals getting paid tens of thousands of dollars. How many liberals?
Hundreds of thousands.
How many liberals does he have on his radio show? Does he interview liberals or Democrats? No, because he's a coward.
He'll come. No, he'll come. He would come. I don't know if he would come onto this, but he.
When was the last time he had a liberal go on his radio show? When was the last time he had a Democrat that he interviewed on his radio show?
I've seen him argue with old liberals before. It's hilarious.
All right, if you say so.
He's an excellent debater.
Yeah.
He's an excellent debater.
Yeah, Mr. Abortion is murder. 702-221-7283. 702-221-7283. I do agree with him on Candace Owens. I will say that. Let's go to Mary. Mary is next. Hi, Mary. You're on with Sean Bloom. Go right ahead.
702-221-7283.
Lower your radio if you can, because there's a little bit of a delay, Mary. And then when you're ready, Mary, are you there?
Brian?
Yes, ma'am. Go right
Brian.
ahead. Yes.
I am an independent who has I am an independent.
Okay, lower your feed where you're listening, Mary. There's a delay, so you got to stop listening to that, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, I think turn off whatever you're listening to the show on right now. Turn the volume off.
I did.
Okay, thank you,
Yes.
Mary. Go right ahead.
Hi, this is Mary from Indiana.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm an independent, and I firmly believe that Donald Trump is a criminal. He's been indicted 4 times. There are 91 charges against him. He has been convicted of sexual assault. He has driven so many of his businesses into the ground, bankruptcy and so on. He has stiffed so many of the people that work for him, whether it is common laborers to lawyers.
I'm going to let Sean take over this phone call because obviously, Mary, I agree with you. Sean, would you like to respond to this nice lady, Mary, who's talking about Donald Trump, who you called a good leader and you think he's a good guy? Where is Mary wrong, Sean?
Yes. Sorry, I'm doing an Instagram thing.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yes.
Go ahead. Take over.
I'm trying to go live right now, but it's not.
Yeah. So where do you disagree with Mary?
On what? Sorry, I didn't hear any
she
of
called
that.
him a criminal, which I agree with. He's going to be a convicted felon. He's facing 91 felony counts. Civilly liable for rape in a courtroom, he was found. His own ex-wife in court documents said that he raped her and then he paid her off. So where's Mary wrong? You're a Trump supporter, at least somewhat, right? You would vote for Trump over Biden. I think that's fair. So where is Mary wrong? Where would you disagree with her? Or do you disagree with her?
Well, there's an argument to be made specifically about the indictments. I'm down to go through each indictment if you want to, but I don't think we have time to do that. But if we're just going back and forth on it, on facts, opinions, whatever it is, personally, right? Because this is an opinion, right? It's not a fact. I think that a lot of those indictments were not real. A lot of those indictments.
Why did he
ridiculous.
defy a subpoena for a year if he didn't do anything wrong?
Everyone defies subpoenas.
Everybody does not defy
subpoenas.
Everybody
Yeah.
does not defy subpoenas.
A lot of people do.
Why would Trump do that?
A lot of people, actually, a lot of the reason they delay turning stuff over. Going
Okay,
through
so
subpoenas.
let's go
Usually
with
at advice of the
let's go with
lawyers.
something else that Donald Trump once said. He said that if you plead the fifth, it means you're most likely guilty. Donald Trump has pleaded the fifth over 500 times. Why would he do that? Is Donald
Lawyers
Trump
told him to.
Lawyers told him.
He wants to talk, but they're like, you can't. You have to plead the fifth. It's better that way.
So you believe these 91 felony counts? He's all innocent. He hasn't committed any crimes.
I don't know all 91 specifically, but
Okay.
but the ones that I did read through, a lot of them are
Okay,
are
Mary, what
ridiculous.
is your response to that? Go ahead.
I do believe that a lot of people identifying as conservative or Republicans get their news from one source. And these sources do not tell the truth. If you want the truth, you've got to go to NPR, PBS. What's his name? Lester Holt, who tells the truth.
Lester Holt.
If you're only getting your news from Fox or Newsmax or what is it, ONN, or MSNBC or CNN, you don't have the whole story.
Well,
I agree with you on
you've
that. I think we
got
all
to
agree on that
read.
one. I don't think any of the news media platforms do.
I agree,
anything
and
like-
it's
yeah, I agree
interesting
with you on
because,
that.
and it's interesting, Mary, because I was a journalist reporter, and thank you for the call, by the way, Mary. We have to get to some other calls, but I appreciate you, and I think you made some really good points. We had a MAGA supporter call into the show that said you're not saying you're a journalist, you're a reporter. They obviously can't distinguish that from a talk show host. So again, anything after 5 p.m. on Fox News or CNN is more opinionated than anything else. I think there are some good reporters and journalists on both sides of the aisle. Not to sound like Donald Trump, there are good people on both sides, but I think you know where I'm going with that. All right, 702-221-7283. Sean, should we continue taking some calls? What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
All right, let's go to Nelson.
Down. I've been on and off. Sorry.
All right,
What's
that's
up,
okay.
Nelson?
Nelson is next on Pushing the Limits. You're on with Sean Bloom. Go ahead, Nelson.
What's going on, guys? I am an independent voter from the East Coast, and I have to tell you, I will not be voting for Donald Trump at all, because when you look at the total disaster of how he handled the public's health with COVID, putting his son-in-law in charge of the public health, and all the circus, everything. That man should not even be close to the Oval Office.
I'll let Sean
Period.
respond to that. Go
What
ahead.
part of the East
Period.
Coast are you from?
Oh, Massachusetts.
Oh, I love Massachusetts. I was in Boston a few months ago.
No, and here's the thing. I come in contact with people I disagree with all the time, but it's civilized.
Right.
It's not like this chaos that you see on TV.
Or the first
And
hour
then-
of the show.
I feel differences of opinion is what makes good content. But when it resorts to violence, like we see a potential MAGA freak over there in Colorado trying to shoot up their Supreme Court because they want to uphold the rule of law, the Constitution, that I don't agree with.
Well,
Period.
again, and I agree with you. And Sean, you do know that just in the last couple months, Donald Trump has said that he wants to rip up parts of the Constitution. He said it himself. This isn't something that I'm making up. He said that he is
Here's the
going to
thing,
use
guys.
his presidency as retribution. And then he said, well, probably just the first day. That's a
Listen,
dictatorship. We don't want that.
To that previous caller, she did a marvelous job. She basically summed everything up.
Yeah.
He's great at conning people, so I'm gonna dub him the con father because that's who he is. He is the con father. And what I will also say is that you see, with all these indictments, what strikes me is that he's not arguing that he's innocent. He's just arguing the fact that he has the right to not follow the Constitution and to have the right to be a criminal and not be held accountable for his actions. That's what strikes me about this whole thing, and I hope the Supreme Court upholds that decision, because he's basically just running for office to save his ass from going to the jail cell.
So I will say this, and I will push back a little bit. We agree mostly. I'm not a big fan, and I think Sean will agree with me on this, of what these Supreme Court decisions are on Trump being off the ballot. Not because I feel bad for Trump. I wish he wasn't on the ballot. But unfortunately, in Washington, D.C., the Brett Kavanaughs and the Barretts of the world will not agree with this, and they'll strike it down. So I kind of think it's a little bit of a waste of time, if that makes sense.
Well, here's the thing. You have states that say different things, but, Colorado went a little bit deeper. They said that he is an officer of the United States.
Yeah.
And when you take the oath of office,
Yeah.
it says exactly that. So the wording may be broad, but when you zoom in, he's an officer of the United States.
I get it,
And
Sean.
look,
I have
Go
a question. What do you think of RFK?
Yeah, we haven't even
Who?
gotten to that.
RFK, Robert Kennedy.
Sean is a huge Robert F. Kennedy Jr. fan. I want to pick his brain on that.
I'm not gonna lie. He's gained some traction. He's an independent. So we're gonna see how that goes.
Yeah.
I'm happy he ran as an independent. I'm happy he ran as an independent. I honestly, a lot of people thought that was a bad move. I think it was a good move. I think it's interesting. 'Cause I think
And I'll say this before I go. Because you guys got callers. Look, this country is not perfect. Obviously, there's more problems that needs to be solved. But when you don't have any help from the other side, they have all this craziness in Congress. The previous Congress, they got things done. But here's the thing: we've regained the jobs lost from the pandemic. Inflation, despite what they want to say, is everywhere. It's not just here in the United States.
All over the world, sure.
Okay, we have come a long way since the pandemic. No one has to wear masks anymore to go out and vote versus the last time. This country needs to stand up. I don't care if you don't like Joe Biden, but you need to vote for the country because this country is severely in trouble if this guy gets back in there.
I agree.
Because
I agree 100%.
he don't deserve,
man, and
he don't deserve it.
I appreciate your call. Call back anytime, okay? I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I do believe that this country's in a lot of trouble if Donald Trump wins in 2024. I really do believe that, Sean. And
I'm excited for you to see what happens if Biden would win. I'm leaving. And by the way, inflation in the rest of the world, dude, it's mainly just Europe and America. It's just Europe and America. Middle East, it's fantastic. Everyone's up in the Middle East. It's great there. Everything's cheap. It's phenomenal. Literally, everything is cheaper. You can get a 20,000 square foot house in the Middle East for like $3 million.
gas prices are up 95% of the world after the pandemic.
Gas prices are fine everywhere else.
What do you mean gas prices are fine everywhere else?
It's like $2.50. $3 maximum.
Gas prices have been up all over the world.
Mainly Europe and
Inflation
America.
up all over the world.
Mainly Europe and America. Not as bad here. Not even close.
Okay, well, I know gas prices in this country have gone down dramatically over the last year and a half. Would you also give Joe Biden credit for that?
That's not true.
What is the average gas price right now?
Average gas price
compared
across
to 2
America
years
is
ago?
probably $4.50.
No, it's not that high. Not
Isn't
true.
it $4?
Go look it up right. No, it's not that true. It's much lower.
Well, in places where most of the population is, it's extremely high. California,
Well,
New York.
So
even
you,
Vegas, it's still high. I'm
but
surprised
you do know
how high it
that
still
Joe
is in
Biden
Vegas.
doesn't set the gas prices. You do know that, right?
Yep.
So who sets the gas prices?
I have a list of policies that Joe Biden passed that directly affected
Right,
oil
but
companies and the gas prices.
but who sets the gas prices?
The oil companies.
Right, and how much money have the oil companies made the last several years?
You know what's funny? Actually,
Yeah.
a lot of the gas prices that have gone up, mainly in specifically, I'm just talking about America. I'm not talking about the rest of the world because it's definitely the worst in America by far. The gas prices.
Gas
there
prices
so
are
bad.
$2.79 in Chicago. I'm going to go down this here real quickly to go by your theory. In the Netherlands, Amsterdam, average gas price is $6.48. In Norway, $6.27. Portugal, $5.57. Croatia, $4.82. Germany, $5.79. I can go down the list of
Europe.
and then as we go,
all of Europe.
Yeah, but Taiwan, when I look at Egypt, when I look at some of these gas prices throughout the world, Americans.
What does it say for Egypt? I'm just curious.
Egypt, it's actually a lot lower than most of the rest of the world.
Yeah, Egypt is fine.
But if we can go back up, Egypt is extremely inexpensive. But if we go back up to where the United,
it's mainly just Europe and the United States.
Japan is at $4.24. And it's not just Europe, but I would
The
also
average in Japan, $4.
Yep, right now. Yep, Cuba is up there as well. So the point I was trying to make is that when you're coming out of a pandemic, and obviously the war in the Ukraine doesn't help the situation any, that's not Joe Biden's fault. Now, you might not like some of his policies.
The war in Ukraine isn't Joe Biden's fault?
You think Vladimir Putin, an evil, murderous dictator, invading Russia is Joe Biden's fault? Or invading Ukraine, I'm sorry. That's Joe Biden's fault? How is that Joe Biden's fault?
Joe Biden shouldn't have put the economic sanctions on Russia, and he shouldn't have given all that aid to Ukraine.
So you think Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine because of Joe Biden? Because of some
Yeah,
policies?
because he knew Joe Biden was weak, and that's why he thought it would be a good time to do it. But then Joe Biden started giving them over hundreds of billions of dollars and a bunch of American military equipment. He was like, all right, well, I guess we'll just keep it going.
Could it maybe be possible that Vladimir Putin is just an evil, murderous dictator that wanted to take over another country? Could that be possible?
No, he wanted to. I'm just telling you that's why he chose this time. He chose the time to do it because Biden is,
So Donald Trump is strong then. You would say no other evil, murderous dictators would try to harm us if under Donald Trump, is that what you would say?
Yeah.
So then why did China create COVID under Donald Trump? You don't blame Donald Trump for that? Is it because Donald Trump is weak?
China didn't create COVID.
It was created in a Wuhan lab. We know that pretty much for sure. And it was created, last I checked, not under Joe Biden, but under Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So wouldn't that
it was
ruin
created
your
the year
theory
the elections
that
were shifting?
Wouldn't that ruin your theory that Donald Trump, Mr. Strong, nobody's going to harm us when COVID was created under Donald Trump when he was president? You don't give Donald Trump any responsibility for that, but it's Joe Biden's fault if a war is started in another country. But if a global pandemic is started under Donald Trump, that's not Donald Trump's fault at all. You see where I'm going with that?
Well, Biden had a direct interest in Ukraine, direct involvement with the Ukraine.
So maybe
war.
Donald Trump had a direct interest in pharma. We don't know. If you're going to throw
pharma or COVID?
Yeah, we don't know.
Well, I'm not talking just financially. I'm talking about in general. Biden gave a ton of aid to Ukraine, way more money than he should have given him. Zelensky's a multi-billionaire. He's balling out of control. Most of the Ukrainians just straight up left. A lot of them are in the Middle East, actually, and America. A lot of them came to America, too. It was just a waste of hundreds of billions of dollars and a bunch of military aid.
I don't blame Donald Trump for COVID. I never have. I blame him for the response, which was an F-.
I blame Biden for the response to the war with Russia and Ukraine.
So you don't think we should have given any aid to the Ukraine?
No.
So what about Israel? Should we be giving aid to Israel?
Well, Israel, I don't think we should be giving them. I support Israel, obviously. We're both Jewish, we're Team Israel. But I don't really support foreign aid. I really don't. I think Israel, honestly, I know the kind of weaponry and military that Israel has. If they really want, if Gaza weren't using its people as shields, Israel would have just taken over instantly.
We agree there, but so you're not for foreign aid.
I'm not for foreign aid.
So
I'm really not.
You would agree with
me
that
Europe needs
Donald
to step
Trump
up a lot.
also gave foreign aid when he was president over 4 years. I can show you the figures, and the money that he gave to other countries, our allies. So let's be consistent.
Biden's given a lot more.
Okay, we can talk about there's more people crossing the border
illegally.
Foreign
aid is something we have to do, but Trump was making a very strong effort to chill with the foreign aid.
All right, well, here's where we disagree, okay?
You disagree with that?
No, I'm going to tell you where we disagree.
Okay.
When an evil, murderous dictator, and that's what Vladimir Putin is, he's an evil, murderous dictator, invades one of our allies, raping women and children and dismembering bodies.
Which ally?
Okay. I'm talking about Ukraine.
Ukraine isn't part of the European Union. They have nothing to do with
Ukraine is our allies, okay? They're not our enemies. And when innocent people are being bludgeoned and killed, we can make the argument that maybe we've given
that
them
happens every
too
day
much.
in a lot more countries.
Doesn't make it right.
No one talks about it.
It is important that we
Everyone's
defeat, as a
talking
world,
about
we
Ukraine.
defeat Vladimir Putin because he's going to invade Taiwan, and it's not going to be.
China's going to invade Taiwan.
There's going to be no ending to this.
But
we need
it
to
doesn't
defeat
matter
them.
because it's not about defeating it. It's about stepping up and fixing the problems in our own country. People don't understand.
Why can't we do both?
We can't do both. We can't even handle our own country. We're so focused on helping Ukraine beat Russia.
What are we not handling in this country, you think, that we need to do a better job of?
Homelessness, crime,
and
education,
that's
inflation, financial, healthcare, everything you can think of. Everything you
so
can
let's
think
talk
of is
about
broken.
that.
Everything is broken.
Let's talk about that. When you mentioned
housing
healthcare,
market's upside down in most major places.
You mentioned a lot of things. Let's talk about that. You mentioned healthcare.
Yes.
We've had Obamacare. Republicans, people that you would support like Donald Trump, claimed in 2 weeks I'm going to have a replacement plan. There was no replacement plan.
Yeah, that
How
was a
can you
campaign
blame Democrats when Republicans have no solutions to any
I didn't
problems?
blame anybody. I just told you the list of problems.
Right, but
we
you're
have.
saying
you
blaming,
want to make it a Democrat-Republican issue.
No, you're blaming Joe Biden. You're
not
saying
blaming Joe
Trump
Biden.
is strong and Biden is weak. You've said
Well,
it yourself.
that's a fact. Yeah.
Okay,
that's true.
well, if that's true, then
But-
why doesn't the strong man come up with a solution to the healthcare issues that you have?
He needs more time. He needs more time.
He
in the
was
White
in
House.
office for 4 years.
4 years wasn't
He
enough
needs
time.
more than 4 years for a replacement plan? That's insane,
So
Sean.
Obamacare never really went away. He was never really going to get rid of it.
If Trump wanted to, if he had a replacement plan, he could have implemented that.
Yeah, and he
didn't
wasn't
do
really
it.
going. He wasn't really going to get rid of it. That's why it's
You
still
think you
here.
need more than 4 years to try to implement new policy?
Oh, I've had a lot of people that are dealing with healthcare issues that I've talked to, poor people, rich people, whatever it is, and they tell me that he's done a lot of good stuff for the healthcare system.
Okay, I'm just telling you there was no replacement plan for Obamacare, and if we're gonna,
I don't care.
all right,
He didn't take away Obamacare. He said he was going to. It was a
And he
fake
didn't.
campaign promise. Yeah.
702-221-7283 is the number to call. Who are we going to next year? Let's go to Zachary. Zachary, what's going on?
Ben Shapiro debated Anna Kasparian in a neutral forum and then did an interview with her on the Young Turks last year.
Wait, what? I didn't. I
Okay,
didn't
so
hear
he's saying on a neutral forum, Ben Shapiro did some sort of debate with the Young Turks. Okay, I'm speaking in general terms. These days, there are some reasonable Reagan Republicans, and I agree with them on a lot of issues. And
I didn't understand that.
yeah,
Did
I
he
know
hang
it
up?
was a weird conversation, but
Wasn't even
very
a
short, very
conversation.
short one. The point I'm making is, if you go on and listen
Ben
to
Shapiro
Ben
had a debate with
Shapiro
someone?
every day, he almost never, maybe 1% of the time, interviews people that disagree with him. That's my point. That's cowardly.
He always interviews people that disagree with him constantly.
Find me on his radio show in the
Constantly.
last month one person, a prominent Democrat that's been on his show. It's conservatives across the country. They're afraid to actually have real debates with people on the air. That's just my opinion. 702-221-7283, 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Monty. Monty is next on Pushing Limits. Hello, Monty.
Hello, Brian. It's Brian, not Ben, right?
Yeah, thank
Brian,
God.
not Ben.
Thank God. Yes, it is Brian. Go right ahead.
Thank God. Oh, that guy sitting across from you there, he is a bottom feeder.
Uh-oh.
Who,
I
me?
wish he didn't have a voice. He really shouldn't have a voice.
I wish you
He's
didn't have a
talking
voice.
about Israel.
Okay, so let's try to dissect this.
Yeah.
Why do you think he shouldn't have a voice? And obviously, he said a lot of things that I disagree with. But Monty, let's try to
Well,
have
by-
I want you to have a good conversation with him. So I'll try to
by
be
a lot of
mediator
things,
here.
by a lot of things, what I'm picking up on, he's saying almost everything he's saying is lies that he's cherry picked from right wing media.
Okay,
It's
Sean. Do you want
sad,
to,
man.
so give me an example, Monty, and then let's kind of go from there.
Okay, so he likes Israel. He thinks there's two sides to everything over there. My nephew graduated Israeli paratrooper. There's at least 5 sides to everything over there. We don't know the complexity of what happens in the Middle East. And
I
this
was just
guy thinks
there.
it's all-
I was just there.
Who was?
Me. I was just there. I just got back from Dubai. I was in Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. I was all around it.
Oh, yeah,
I was
you're-
right next to Gaza's
you're really-
headquarters.
You're really happy about the Arabian Peninsula there.
Yeah, it's a very well ran place, very clean, very good place.
And
Beautiful.
what's your attitude of Israel is what? You like Christmas or what?
I like Christmas.
What is your attitude about Israel?
What is my attitude about it? I support Israel.
Yes. You support Israel?
Yeah, you don't?
I do. Sure I do. I wear Israeli clothes that my nephew brought back for me from Israel. He's cool.
That's lit.
Is
That's
it-
cool.
So here's what I want to know. Do you think that Israel should exist?
Should
Because
Israel
the
exist
surrounding
itself?
neighbors think it shouldn't.
That's not true. That's not true.
So I had
That's
a
not
Pal-
true?
No, it's not true.
I had a Palestinian who's going to UNLV. we had a hold on. Let me just say this, Sean. Palestinian.
Brian,
who
he's
goes
lying.
To UNLV.
He's lying
I'm not
already.
lying.
Okay.
Hey, you want to call me a bottom
Hold
feeder?
on.
Where do
hold
you
on.
live?
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
I'm happy
Okay.
to go
I
into
had
this.
I'm not hanging up on him.
No. I
had
said
a-
I'm happy to go into this.
Okay. I had a Palestinian who lost 5 members of his family in Gaza a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Tragic. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice guy, but he doesn't think Israel should exist. We disagree. He told me that
Yeah,
he
that
grew up.
guy's off.
He grew up in Gaza. He told me that, in his estimation, 100% of those in Gaza and Palestinians do not believe Israel should exist.
I know.
Okay, well, that's what he asked
True.
you, and you said you don't believe that, and I'm saying I do believe that.
What did I say I don't
think,
believe?
Well, I think most Palestinians do not think Israel should exist.
No, that's not what he asked me. He asked me, do you
Yeah.
think Israel should exist?
And
I
you
said
said
yes.
I know you said yes.
Yeah,
but
do I think Israel should exist? Absolutely.
Right.
I'm talking about the people in the Middle East. I met
There's
a lot of people in the
that
Middle East.
don't think Israel should exist in the Middle East.
Bro, most of them are actually
Iran,
really
for
cool with
example.
Israel.
What do you
They
think
do a lot of business
What do you
with
think
Israel.
about the Iranian government that has funded Hamas?
Oh no, Iran.
Hey, Brian?
Iran is a whole different animal.
They don't
I'm
want
talking
Israel
about
to
the Gulf.
exist. Okay.
I'm talking about the
Brian?
parts of the Middle East that are
Okay.
important, the
Okay.
developed nations.
Okay, I got you. Go
They
ahead, sir.
they like Israel.
Yep. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, Brian,
Yes.
button him down. He's getting vague again. Every time he wants to say something, he starts to get really vague, like he doesn't know anything. Button him down.
Can you give me this guy's number?
All right. Well, I'll do my best, sir. We're trying to have a good conversation.
I want
good
this guy's
debate.
number. I want to see who's the bottom feeder in the next 10 minutes. Can you give me his
Well,
number?
listen, we can disagree. We can disagree with one another without calling each other bottom feeders.
Yeah, he
but
called me a bottom feeder. So.
But now you know what I've had to
I
deal
did.
with, and he's been
I
a lot
did.
more respectful to you than a lot of the MAGA people that have called into this show and arguing with me. I'll say that. Go ahead, sir. I'll give
Well-
you the last word. I hate to sound like Bill O'Reilly, the sexual predator, but go ahead.
Bill O'Reilly. That was funny.
Who, me? I'm getting the last word? Oh, my God. That's great. I would thank you for that, but you know what? I wish you, Brian,
Yes, sir.
not Ben, better guests in the future, because this guy, he's got nothing to add.
All right.
Neither do
well,
you.
Goodbye now.
Well, I
Goodbye,
mean, you know, I have all sorts of different guests on this show. People that I agree with.
Give me that
people-
guy's number.
I don't have his number. People that I
Really?
agree with.
It's
People that I.
unfortunate.
It's 1-900 bottom feeder. I think that's his.
That's
number.
probably his number.
No, listen. I have people on this show that I agree with and that I disagree with. I've Vivek Ramaswamy. I had him on. He's coming on again in a couple.
Oh, that's
weeks.
cool. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. You did. Have him on.
I've had people that have worked in Donald Trump's administration. His surrogates have come on this show, and you know. I would rather have people on the show that I disagree with than I agree with. That's just who I am. That's the show I do.
You're a good arguer.
And I believe that
You're a
Ben
good debater.
Shapiro is the opposite. He doesn't like having debate with people that disagree with
I
him.
wish
unless it's an
Ben
18 or
Shapiro-
19-year-old liberal at some college, which anybody could debate, okay?
I wish Ben Shapiro would do the show. You guys would actually have a really good combo.
So my biggest, one of my biggest criticisms of Ben Shapiro, because he thinks if he wears that yarmulke on his head, that somehow he's a better Jew than other people, and only what he says matters. Let me
he
tell you.
doesn't think that. He
Okay,
just has his own opinions.
yeah, but he makes it sound like anybody that has an abortion is a murderer. And there are
That's his belief.
Okay, but it's ridiculous. There are brilliant doctors and
belief.
people that perform pregnancies every day that disagree with Ben Shapiro, but he thinks it's a human life the second that conception. Guess what? Over 60% of the country disagree with him. And I think he's a little weasel, is what he is. And I think he's afraid to have real debate with intelligent people that disagree with him. And I'm telling you, if you don't believe me, listen to his radio show. Rarely does he ever have a liberal or somebody on the far left that's an adult conversate with him. And that's my biggest criticism with him. And I think it's cowardly.
I'll try and get him on here. I'll try.
All right, well, he won't do it. 702, he'll come up with an excuse. 702-2217.
dude.
702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to, we haven't even talked about Robert F. Kennedy.
No,
yet.
I'm excited to talk about Robert.
All right,
F.
we will.
Kennedy.
Let's take a few more calls and then we'll talk
Yeah,
about
no,
it.
I'm down.
Victor's next on Pushing the Limits. What's up, Victor?
Victor.
Hello, sir. Hello, everyone over there.
Yes, sir. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, Victor?
How you doing?
Good.
Yeah,
on
I
your
have on my
buddy?
mind. It is listen. I'm 54 years old. Okay, excuse my accent on English, but Spanish is my mother language. Okay.
I don't mind it at all. Donald Trump
Listen,
might not like it, but I don't mind it at all.
I love Spanish. It's
I
my
don't care
favorite
the
language.
Spanish clown. Okay.
Okay.
But let me put it this way to your guy over there. I think he needs to read more history. I think he needs to educate more himself, and I mean in the good way, not insulting him. Okay. I'm not Donald Trump's idiot. I just don't like that. But let me tell you something. Donald Trump is Putin's whatever. Okay. Donald Trump is the weakest leaders in this planet. I live
Sean
my
thinks he's
life.
strong.
I live
Sean thinks he's Superman. I don't know.
I
man.
live, listen, I live my life, 7 years of my life. I lived in a civil war during this so-called era that when someone called you communist, your life was over.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
I agree. I hear you.
All right?
Yep.
We have Donald Trump calling Putin a smart man. It's allowing Ukrainians all the way. You need, and this is why for us, to be a strong country, you need a strong leader. You need wisdom.
Sean, why do you think Trump is
Joe
a strong
Biden
leader?
Joe Biden is the smartest
let me
man.
ask Sean a question to what you're
smartest
talking
man,
about,
what?
sir. You think Donald Trump
What?
is smart? He's a really smart guy? I'm
Donald
just
Trump
asking.
is the dumbest idiot. It's just the puppets for the far right. That's all it is.
No, Trump.
Come on, give me a
No, but,
break.
listen, there's a lot of people that we could agree. Like, for example, Candace Owens. I disagree with almost everything she stands
But
for.
she's smart.
Not a stupid person.
No.
Okay.
Really?
I don't think Candace
Candace
Owens.
Owens is-
you?
I think
Candace
she's
Owens is an excellent debater.
she's an opportunist, but she's not
Candace Owens
stupid.
just singing
I
the
don't.
song
Okay,
from
but there's a
Post.
difference. I don't think Donald Trump is smart. I don't think he's this really smart, bright guy, and he's certainly not a good businessman. He was given a $500 million company from his dad. Look at all of his companies that have gone in the tank and filed for bankruptcy. I don't understand why people say Donald Trump, the art of the deal. What a great businessman! Trump University, he's a scam artist. He's a scam artist. He's a snake oil salesman. Thank you for the call, my man. I appreciate it. I got him. You call back anytime. I appreciate that. You think Donald Trump's a good businessman, Sean? Be honest.
Is he a good businessman?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Just because of the bankruptcies and the failed businesses, which a lot of people go through, a lot of billionaires have had that. Several bankruptcies, several failed
But
companies.
if you're a
It
really good
happens a lot.
businessman, you probably don't
he's
go
always-
through that.
He's always been up. He's always been up. He always been living well.
Didn't want to show his tax returns, but okay. Let's take another call.
Well, eventually they got released.
702-221-7283 is the number to call. 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Dion. Dion is next on Pushing the Limits. You're on with Sean Bloom. Hello, Dion.
Hey, Dion.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Good.
Long time listener.
Thank
Back
you.
when you and JD used to go round and round. Hey,
I'll
I
tell
had
you
a
what.
question for you.
It's funny you mention that because even though Sean might have some of the same beliefs as another co-host or sidekick, not you, Sean, that I used to have, I can tell you that
Who
I
was
can
it?
actually have lunch with Sean and we could have good conversations about other things. So I'll leave that at that. But go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, your co-host. I was just wondering. Okay, you say you think that Donald Trump is a good businessman, but just overall, Donald Trump, just the whole right Republican movement, you guys have gotten behind this guy. Do you really? I mean, it just makes me really question what is the end game for you guys? What do you want? Because America will never go along with him as president, and he'll never leave the White House if he ever makes president. And so much corruption is already there. But then my other question is to the American people that are listening, what do you, I mean, if you really love this country, why don't you really think about where we're headed? Okay? This is a bad track that we're on, and we're getting there with I thought we were more grown up than this. I just really did.
I think we need to go to RFK. That's what we should talk about. We should talk about RFK.
I am going to talk to him about RFK Jr. because I am not an RFK Jr. fan, even though I would vote for him over Donald Trump.
And Joe Biden. You agree with RFK Jr. on 90% of stuff.
I would vote for, but I would vote for Joe Biden over RFK Jr.
Why?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you
I want
why.
to go into that. I want to go
Okay.
into that.
I'll tell both of you why right
This is
now.
a convo I want to talk to you about.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is actually something
So,
Robert Kennedy versus Joe
Robert
Biden.
F. Kennedy Jr., first of all, he's a blatant liar. He goes on CNN last week, and he makes a claim that no vaccines are good for you. No vaccines are good. And then, hold on, we have the audio. And then when he says that to the CNN host plays the tape, plays exactly what he said, and then it all of a sudden changes from, oh, I did say it, from I didn't say it to I did say it, but I should have chosen my words better. Because Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a liar. He also, I told you the Samoan story, and this is, by the way, not opinion. This is fact. He went over there. He went and spoke to the prime minister when they had the measles outbreak. He went on this anti-vaccine tour, okay, over there in Samoa. And when he left, what happened? Over 80 children died. Over half of them were not vaccinated. The prior year, when they had a measles outbreak, one child died. So what did he do? He wrote a letter to the prime minister claiming that they died from the vaccinations. That was a blatant lie. I asked him about it. I met RFK Jr. several weeks ago, and I challenged him on that. And his response to me was, that's BS. They all died from the vaccine. That is a blatant lie. He is a liar.
Right.
He knows nothing about medicine. And I think he's a conspiracy theorist. And by the way, he blames Zelensky and Ukraine for the war. Doesn't blame Vladimir Putin. And by the way, it was his own wife who you met, and I know you've spent time with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Cheryl Hines. When Robert F. Kennedy Jr. compared mandates to Nazi Germany. He put it out in a tweet. And his own wife said his comments were despicable. Guess what? Cheryl Hines is right. His comments were despicable. And it's the reason why so many members of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s immediate family don't support what he's doing.
I went to his house. They were all there, and we were having a great time.
And I don't doubt that. And I don't doubt that
That's
one
not
bit.
true.
I don't doubt that there were some family members there that supported
all
him.
of his family, his whole family.
Okay,
was there.
well, I can say on the record there are members of his family that have written letters saying they don't support his campaign. So we can go back and
Well, if
forth.
we're talking about immediate family, everyone was at the house that day.
Okay, well, I don't know about everyone, but all I can tell you is that there are certain members of
And
family.
he's not against vaccines.
But that's here nor there.
He's not against vaccines.
He claims he's not against vaccines.
He's not. All of his sons are vaccinated.
But his rhetoric about vaccines
vaccinated.
have costed people their lives. He has not been vaccinated, he told me. So I guess he lied to me because I asked him, if you think these vaccines are poison, which he's made those statements before.
I think he was talking about the COVID vaccine specifically.
Right.
Yeah,
He
he's
told
not
me-
vaccinated.
So he let his kids get
But
the
I'm
COVID.
talking about
He let his
mandatory vaccines you
Let me
get
ask
like
you a
for
question.
school and
If
whatnot.
you thought something was poison and you had kids, would you allow your kids to take the poison?
No.
Or would you say, no, I'm going to homeschool them, right? You would tell them you would want
Brian,
to.
can you guys
yeah,
hear me?
yeah, of course.
Guess what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. did? He allowed his family to get COVID vaccinations because he's full of crap. That's why.
They didn't get the COVID vaccine. The kids
Yes,
did.
they did.
Kids
He
didn't.
To my face, he told me that he allowed his kids to get the vaccinations because they couldn't go to school otherwise, which is, by the way, a lie because could have been homeschooled.
Well, they had vaccine cards.
I'm just telling you, that's what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. told me. Now, you asked me. Now, when it comes to a lot of social issues, whether it be abortion or health care in general or minimum wage or economic policy, yes.
Or basically every other problem.
Yeah, but you know
we
what?
pretty much agree with him on everything.
Yeah,
Like,
but
that's better than
but
the two
here's
we
the,
have.
Here's the deal, right? I'm going to give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about, and you might not like this analogy, but I'm going to give it anyway. Let's just say you're a lifelong friend to somebody and you have kids, and this guy that's a good friend of yours, he works at a soup kitchen.
Yeah.
You've known him for decades and decades and decades. You found out that he's molested children. Would you say, you know what? I don't agree with that, but I agree with everything else he's done in his life. That's how serious I think this
But
issue
you're
is.
comparing that
Yes, it is,
to
because-
vaccines. It's
yes,
not
I am.
No, it's
because
not.
people died because of his hate, his stupid
Not
rhetoric
true.
about
he
the
can tell you what
vaccine.
happened in Samoa.
And he lies about it because
No.
he wrote a letter. Are you aware that he has a letter that's gone public that he wrote to the prime minister blaming the deaths there on the measles vaccination, which, by the way, is a lie. It's a lie. A lot of those kids weren't vaccinated. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., in my opinion, is a liar and
They
a conspiracy
all lie. You're
theorist.
talking specifically about one thing, just the vaccine.
But that's not a good defense. You know that, Sean. When you say,
No,
well,
it
they
isn't.
all lie, so let's let Robert F.
It's
Kennedy
not
Jr.
just a
lie.
defense. Your defense is that Robert Kennedy is a liar,
Yeah,
and that's
he is.
why you don't like
He
him.
lies about
That's
very
fine,
important issues.
But I'm saying they all lie about very important issues, not just the vaccine.
Give me an example of
But I'm
one-
saying, we're
Give me-
talking numbers here. You agree with Robert Kennedy way more than you agree with Biden.
but
You
let's
disagree
go
with
with-
him on one major issue in your
Let's
opinion.
go with
which-
what you just brought up, though, because I want to dissect
just
your
going
brain.
with numbers.
Because
Let's
I'm
go with
telling
the
you I'd
numbers.
vote for Biden over Robert F. Kennedy. Can you give me one example?
Why?
Okay, let me ask the question.
How?
I'll answer that, but give me one example of a really huge lie of Joe Biden and his administration that Joe Biden lied about that cost children their lives. Can you give me one example of a lie that killed people?
Okay.
Because I can give you a ton of Donald Trump lies that cost people their lives. I can give you a ton of Donald Trump lies like the election was stolen in 2020. People died that day. They died because Donald Trump lied. You're saying everybody lies. I'm just trying to, I disagree with you. I don't think everybody lies. Do a
Joe
lot
Biden
of
lied 16 times in one speech about his family business schemes.
Did that kill
That's a good
anybody?
one.
If he did, let's just assume
Probably
that's
did.
true. Let's just assume that Donald Trump, Joe Biden either misspoke or lied about business dealings. You know what?
This is from CNN.
Robert
Wow.
F. Kennedy
I'm
Jr.
impressed.
lies about the vaccinations every day. People have died because of it. I find that
It's
to be
not
a lot
every
more
day.
serious. Can somebody embellish about their past? Can somebody embellish about Fine. But we're not talking about embellishing. We're talking about actual lies. You're asking me. This is why I could never support Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Do I think he's as dangerous as Donald Trump? No. That's a very low bar. But you're asking me. Why do you like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. so much? Tell me.
I like Robert Kennedy Jr. because I agree with him on over 90% of things. Everything. And when I talked to him in person, all of the questions that I had and his answers were things that honestly we would both agree with on a lot of stuff. Everything.
But you and your dad
Yeah.
are influential people. Your father has been one of the biggest Democrat donors.
That's going to change.
Okay, I understand, but he has been in the past.
In the past, yeah. When we were brainwashed.
And I like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt and say that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was being genuine to you guys. But is it wrong of me to say maybe you got a different Robert F. Kennedy Jr. because he wants something from you? In this case, maybe money.
He didn't even know who I was when I met him.
But he knew
the
who
way
your
I
dad
met him
was.
No, he didn't. He had no idea who my dad was.
Somebody got in his ear
idea.
and told him.
Nope.
Somebody
I
had
met
to.
him. I met him through a friend of mine, and I told my friend, I was like, just put me in a group chat with him, and I'm like, I don't care if he doesn't know me, right? And he's like, all right, I'm just going to stick you in a group chat with him, and I'm just going to say, hey, this is someone that supports you and wants to meet him. Like, he literally just put me in a group chat with him instantly.
Well, Sean,
and
I
I
can tell
texted
you-
Robert,
Yeah.
and Robert called me because he's not really a texter, and he's like, hey, I saw the group chat between us and our third friend, and he's like, I'm down to meet up if you want to. I'm at the F1 Cosmopolitan thing right now. I'm like, I'm up here too. Where are you at? And then he ended up leaving. But then we ended up meeting that weekend. But he was just down to meet me because my friend just told him, he's like, hey, this guy's a huge supporter of you and wants to meet you.
I have some breaking
That's
news
it.
for you. Your father's on the line.
Okay, lit. Let me see.
Mr. J. Bloom is
Where's
on
he
the
at?
line right now. And for full disclosure,
You're listening to the radio show?
I talked to him yesterday, and I said, I'm going to give your son a really hard time, and I'm going to give it to him. And he's like, no, he's going to give it to you. And now your father, Jay Bloom, is joining us on the line. Jay, is that you? Are you there?
Hey guys.
I had one
Hey, Dad.
I had one liberal call me a bottom feeder. And I'm like, bro, I gotta get that guy's number, bro. Let's see where he lives. Let's see who the bottom feeder is. And then I had another guy tell me that you bought me my phones. And I was about to be like, well, let's just say if I weren't around, those billions of dollars wouldn't have been here. That's how I was about to respond.
So
but
Jay,
I didn't feel like flexing on that
I don't
guy.
know
His
how
life was
long.
hard
I
enough.
don't know how long Jay's been listening, but what do you make of the conversation we've had today?
So, all right. There's one. The reason I'm calling in is Brian. You keep calling Robert F. Kennedy Jr. a liar.
Yes, I do believe he's a liar.
And I think that's coming from a place where you actually believe it, but you're so vested in your predisposition that you're not actually hearing his words. And I'm glad you have it on tape and you can play it back. Because what you're hearing is he's anti-vaccine, but what he's actually saying is there are vaccines that do more good than cause the harm they cause, right? And what he's saying is, yes, there are vaccines that you should take because they do more good, but they do have side effects.
But what I'm referring to is just a few weeks ago, and I played you the clip where he's on a podcast and he's asked the question, do you think any vaccines are good, verbatim? And he said, no, I don't think any vaccines for the most part are good. And then when he's doing a live interview on CNN, he's asked, he said, I never said that. She plays the tape of what any good journalist would do. And then all of a sudden it changes from, I didn't say it to, oh, I did say it, but I could have chosen my words better. That is the definition, in my opinion, of a liar, Jay.
No, but you see, again, you're doing it again. All he said is that he's saying that there's no vaccine that doesn't have side effects. But there are vaccines that do more good than cause harm.
I don't hear him speaking positively about any vaccines out there. It's always negative with him.
Listen to it again with an open mind.
Well,
and you'll
here's
hear
the
it
thing, right?
differently.
Here's my opinion, Jane. You can tell me whether you disagree or not. When I hear somebody that's actually an infectious disease expert and somebody with medical experience, I will always have an open mind. Why? Because they have experience. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has never been a doctor. He has no medical degrees. He is a politician or trying to become a politician. And it's hard for me to have an open mind. That would be like me saying, hey, when Kyrie Irving says the earth is flat, have an open mind. Well, wait a second. Kyrie Irving's a basketball player, a really good one. He's not a geography expert, right? I mean, I hear what you're saying. Give everybody a chance. But let's be honest. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. he has no medical experience at all. He shouldn't be talking about medicine.
I'm just going to say this. There's
Yeah,
a
but
lot of doctors that agree with Robert Kennedy.
You know who John Hopkins is, right? You familiar with John Hopkins?
Yes.
He's citing their data, and they know something about medicine as well.
That's true.
So
he is citing John Hopkins.
So when you talk about that data, which I actually did look up, do you know how many people they looked into when it came to vaccinations and whether it was a controlled study or not? Because I do.
Neither one of us has the study in front of us, but I can certainly get it and we can discuss it when we have it in front of us.
I looked it up, and I want you to look it up and tell me how many people they looked at. And virtually every study out there, for the most part, shows a couple things. Number one, if you took the vaccinations when it comes to COVID, you had a much better chance of not dying or going into the ICU. Number two, you're right. There's always going to be side effects when it comes to every vaccine. But over half the world has taken the COVID vaccinations. And while they're not perfect, they are overwhelmingly safe. But if you listen to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he would lead you to believe that kids are dying left and right and people are dropping dead left and right from the vaccinations. He is a liar, and he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Again, you're doing it. You're calling him a liar without understanding what he's saying. I can tell you what he told me.
I talked to the guy.
It's hard. Brian, slow your roll. I can tell you what he told me. What he told me is that with the COVID vaccine, we had a crisis. Nobody understood the disease. Nobody understood the virus. Nobody understood the vaccine. All the safeguards, all the barricades that we go through for vaccine tests and trials were set aside to get something out the door. And when that happens, you don't know what the side effects are. And his position is, it's not fair to mandate the vaccine for people that work in healthcare and people that work.
That is a fair. Listen, Jay, I don't have a problem with that opinion. Guess what? I agree with that. I don't think the vaccination should have ever been mandated. That's not my issue with Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
He's saying it's not for him. He's saying it's not for him.
Okay, and that's okay too. But if he just did that, Jay, I wouldn't have a problem with him. You know I have a problem with him.
And then when he's asked about other vaccines, he says there are vaccines that do more good than cause harm.
He said he targeted.
Right?
He felt that he's on video and audio saying that he believed the vaccines targeted certain people, saving certain races from others. It's ridiculous. You can't defend those statements.
His positions are not as outlandish as the sound bites make it sound.
Well, then guess what? Then he probably shouldn't say it. I know you wouldn't say that about Donald Trump. He's not. Is he not as outlandish as the sound bites make him sound? You would never say that about Donald Trump. I can only go by what people say.
I got to tell you, Donald Trump. And I'm not a Donald Trump fan by any means, right? But there are certain things that he does that I do agree with. I think the media has a big problem. We don't have any news anymore. We have propaganda on both sides.
I
think both sides have an issue. Yes. And the Democrats are falling to the extremists on the left, right? I mean,
I think there's extremists on both sides, but I will
you're
say,
waking up.
Right, but I will
waking up.
But I will
so
say,
proud of you
I will.
No, it's not a question of waking up.
You are
There's
waking
problems
up.
on the right too. There's big problems.
When you
on
look
the
at
right.
extremists in this country right now, I don't think for the most part the problem is the left. There are some extremists on the left. When I talk about COVID vaccine, the Alex Joneses of the world that say school shootings don't happen. Donald Trump won the 2020 election, which virtually every MAGA supporter agrees with, which is it's a lie. And I know your son doesn't like me bringing up January 6th. I can understand
because it's all he brings up.
That's not all I bring up. I haven't mentioned it in an hour. I have plenty of criticisms for Donald Trump.
But there's problems on both sides, is what I'm saying. Look, I'm sitting here watching Democrats do pro-Hamas rallies.
And that's also wrong.
Raiding the Capitol, which no one wants to talk about.
And not only is it wrong, where are Chuck Schumer and where are Hakeem Jeffries saying that's not Democrats?
And I agree with you, and I've talked about that on the radio constantly, my disappointment there. But that doesn't take away from the damage that Donald Trump has done for this country. And your son, Sean,
I agree.
Your son, Sean, is entitled to his opinions. But for whatever reason, Sean thinks that Donald Trump, quote, is a great leader and a great guy. And I think that is beyond outrageous. He's entitled to his opinions.
Well, Sean, you're grounded.
Yeah, well, quote me on that. Quote me on that.
Well, Jay, I hope I'm not being
Trump
too hard on your son. Okay, if I am, let me
know.
No,
you're doing.
Okay.
Look,
all right.
You're
the real ones out there in the audience.
He's going easy on you.
You know what? How many more calls can we take? We got. Like
we'll take a
minutes,
few more.
right?
We'll take a few more. Hey,
right,
Jay,
I'll get out of your way.
Jay, when are we going for brunch? When are you taking me to brunch? On you.
How many people are watching?
Jay's gonna have to take me to the Bagel Cafe, Jay, one of these days.
I'm gonna go.
We can go this week.
All right,
we'll
Jay. All right. I love you, buddy.
All right,
Thanks
take
for
care,
calling
guys.
in.
Have fun.
I'll be nice to your son. I
Bye-bye.
promise. All right. Thanks, Jay. You want to take some more calls? Let's do it.
Yes,
Let's do it.
all the real ones.
We have a lot of
Come in.
I like the fact that your dad called in. He's a listener.
No, I'm glad he came in
He's
too.
an avid listener. 702-221.
Well, he knew I was going to be here today.
I told him. 7283. Let's go to Kevin, right? Kevin is next. What's up, Kevin?
Which Kevin is this?
I don't know.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Doing good, Kevin. What's up, man?
Good. To your guest, I'd like to know what he thinks about what he thought about Donald Trump disbanding the COVID response team.
Disbanding the COVID response team?
Yes. He's asking you. Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, when he disbanded the COVID response team, that was, when did he do that? That was the middle of 2020, right? That was in the middle of 2020?
Mhm.
Yeah. I think he did it because at that time period, before cases really started to get crazy in America, which was more towards the end of 2020, and then 2021, we had all the variants, and that was when cases started to get insane. It's more like close to the end of 2020. He dismantled it for a variety of reasons, right? For one thing, a lot of people didn't know the true effect of the virus, right? A lot of people thought that it was a flu. A lot of people thought it was super deadly to everyone that caught it, and then there was people that, were like, oh, there was a lot of sides to that story, and I think Trump, there's many reasons he dismantled the COVID response team. I think one of the main reasons he did it was because the virus wasn't serious enough at the time to keep the team, and I think that was one of the main reasons he dismantled it. We didn't know enough about the virus at the time. And there was conflicting opinions. Like, that's why Trump was so back and forth on it too. He was like, "Oh, COVID's weak. COVID is serious."
Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, okay. I was just curious as to your response. Also, what policies did Donald Trump enact that benefited the average American?
That benefited the average American. Well, honestly, I would say, and we could probably start with the economy. A lot of his economic policies that came out. I still remember when he was in office, when he was, when he first came into office, when he started issuing all those executive orders, like off the bat, which was kind of weird in the beginning, everyone thought, but a lot of those executive orders turned out to do a lot of good things for the economy.
More tax breaks for the top 1% than in the last 40 years.
There was tax breaks across everything.
For the top 1%.
No, not just the top 1%. By the way, the top 1%.
Yes, the top 1%.
Yep.
Well, yeah,
if
definitely.
If you look at his policy, it was beneficial to the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies and the richest people in this country, and I don't think that's good for middle America.
It's beneficial for a lot of middle class people.
It's certainly.
Too.
I don't think
taxes went down.
I don't think tax breaks for the rich are beneficial for everyday Americans.
Their taxes went down.
I think the top 1% need to be taxed more. That's my personal.
The top 1%, by the way, was only like $250K plus.
Yeah, but the top 1% are pretty much own all the money in this country, and we have a lot of people that are living paycheck
really
to
all the
paycheck.
money, most of the money in the country is owned by like the top 0.0001%.
Well, and those are the people that Donald Trump gives tax breaks to. So I don't think
he gave
that's
tax
good.
breaks to everyone. Everyone had lower taxes.
When you look at the tax breaks and who benefited from it the most, and you can look this up.
Of course, because they have the most money.
It's not
Middle America had lower taxes.
Go ahead, Jeff. Or I'm sorry, Kevin. I apologize. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that was pretty much it, Brian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thanks for calling in,
my
Kevin.
call.
Got to squeeze in a couple more quick callers here. Who are we going to next? 702-221-7283. Let's go to Carl. Carl, what's going on?
Yeah, Brian. This is for Sean.
Hey, Carl.
You're talking about hi. I think Brian can give you my background. I won't go into it, but
Carl was part of Epstein Island. No, I'm sorry. I sound like Aaron Rodgers saying that. I apologize. Go ahead, Carl.
No, actually, Trump flew to Epstein's Island.
That wouldn't surprise me. Did we lose Carl? Carl, buddy, what happened? Carl's on an Obama phone. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what happened there. Carl, you feel free to call back. I know you've been waiting on hold for a while. 702-221-7283. Carl, call back. We'll take your call. Let's go to Obi. Obi, what's going on? You're on with Sean Bloom. What's up, Obi?
Obi.
How you doing, Brian? How you doing, Sean?
How are you?
My conversation is going to be with Sean. Sean.
Yes.
I'm searching high and low to reach a point where I can agree with you on anything. So I'm not going to argue on any of that because I don't want to disrespect you. But I want to ask you a question, though.
Are you Cuban?
Who was the founder, and I still think is the chairman of the Children's Health Defense? Who was the founder?
Okay, repeat that one more time because I don't think we heard the question. Go ahead, Obi.
Okay, who was the founder, and I think is still the chairman, of the Children's Health Defense?
Who is the chairman of the Children's Health Defense?
Health Defense?
I don't know the answer to that. I'll be honest. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Robert Kennedy?
Robert F. Kennedy.
Okay.
Robert F. Kennedy. He was the founder.
Yep.
And you know what is the premise of that foundation? It's an advocacy against vaccines
Yep, there
in
you go.
general.
I see where you're going with
Search
that. Yeah. How can anybody
Search
say
it. So-
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is not anti-vaccination? We know he's anti-vaccination. We know it.
Okay, he's not anti. Okay, well look for the Children's Health Defense.
We'll look that up.
Fluoridation
That
of
does not.
drinking water.
That does, and it is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. You're absolutely right. We just looked it up, and
Yeah,
that,
I'm looking it up right now.
and they are anti-vaccine.
Well, thank you very much. That's all I have to say for today, Brian.
I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, here you have a guy who's at the poster child for this organization, and I forgot about that. I'm surprised I didn't know that. But I had heard that, and this is an organization that is pro-anti-vaccine. And then when Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is asked, he says, "Oh, no, I'm not anti-vaccine." Yes, you are. You are anti-vaccine. Just own it and admit it, but I wish he would stop talking about it.
The group campaigned against it, but he didn't directly say he was.
Yeah. So Kennedy, right now, as of April of 2023, he's currently on leave as CHD's chairman, maybe because he knew he was running for president of the United States. But this is who Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is. This is who he
That's not
is.
true.
Well, then why would he put himself at the front of this organization if he wasn't anti-vaccine? That's all.
He hasn't been part of the organization for a couple of years.
Yeah, why would you be associated with an organization like that? That's anti-vaccination. If you call yourself not anti-vaccination, I think it's I don't know, it's a fair question. Should we bring Carl back up? Carl had a bad phone line. Carl, go ahead. Are you there? Are you on off your Obama phone?
Obama.
Yeah, I'm off the. I got cut off. You'll hear from my attorney about that. No, just kidding. Listen, you're talking about the vaccines and so forth. Well, I think Brian can tell you my background is medical, and both my wife and myself have had all the vaccines plus all the boosters, and we feel fine. And anybody I know in the medical field have all had it done to them, and they feel fine. They haven't dropped dead. And the vaccine will not keep you from getting the virus, but you get it a very weak amount.
Correct.
If
It
you
saved
check with
millions of
anybody
lives.
at the
Robert F.
hospital,
Kennedy Jr. would never say that, even though it's true. The
People
COVID
in
vaccinations
hospitals-
have saved millions of lives. Have there
Yeah.
been some
But here's the
cases of
thing.
side effects? Absolutely. But
yeah,
I mean,
here's the thing. Some people in hospitals, the vast majority, over 90% of the deaths in hospitals from COVID have come from unvaccinated people, not vaccinated people. That is a true statistic. You can check it out. It's the unvaccinated who died
I know
from
that,
it.
Carl. I almost died of COVID a few years ago before the vaccinations were out.
Yeah.
I believe the vaccination saved my life. The second time I got COVID, it was the sniffles. Here's the bottom line, guys. We could all, anyone who's listening right now, we could all disagree with how we handled COVID. We could all disagree. You don't want to take the vaccination. That's your business. Fine. I'm okay with that. But the bottom line here is what I don't want is people getting involved in other people's lives when it comes to their body.
I agree.
If you're
I don't think it should be
I don't want to
mandatory.
hear from people like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. with no, if he doesn't want to take the vaccination or he doesn't want his family taking it, fine. I don't want to hear about it, okay? That's my problem with him. Shut up about it. You're not a physician. You have no medical experience, no more than I want to hear Rand Paul, who's an eye doctor but plays an infectious disease doctor in D.C., you know? And it's like, just stop talking about it. That's all.
Can I give one more bit of information to
Quickly,
Sean?
go ahead. Quickly.
Real quick. Okay. I told you the other day, and you got a kick out of it, but this is medical news about Trump for Sean, that he's got an appointment. I told you about it, Brian. He's got an appointment to see a proctologist. Did you know that?
I did
about
not.
possible brain damage. So I thought I'd let you know that.
Has brain damage.
Carl, good to hear from you, my friend. Thank you. So listen, thank you, Carl. We've covered a lot of topics here. There's no question about that. And, there's going to be things we're going to agree on. There's going to be things we disagree on. We probably agree a lot on
Any other callers for the last 5 minutes?
We got a couple more minutes here left to go. I think we're going to have to put a break to it because that was like literally an hour and a half straight of calls. And I appreciate all the calls, even though my MAGA friends who call in and call me boy, who aren't capable of having any type of intellectual conversation.
Some guy called me a bottom feeder. That's worse than boy.
Well,
and he started the conversation.
I try to,
which is hilarious.
I like the conversation to start out with, tell me what you disagree with, and then let's have a conversation about it. But
that guy started off with bottom feeder. The other guy said boy. They say boy anyway.
With the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. stuff, as I've said to you before, and I'll say again, as much as I despise Donald Trump, if I had to, I wouldn't want to, but if I had to, I would vote for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. over Donald Trump because I believe Donald Trump is that much of a danger. If it is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. versus Donald Trump, I would assume you would vote for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Is that
I vote
fair?
for Robert Kennedy over both of them. I'm surprised you vote for Biden over Robert Kennedy. That's insane.
Yeah, because I don't think, as I've said before, I don't think Joe Biden is a conspiracy theorist. He's too old. I don't think he's a danger like you make him out to be. Certainly not a danger.
Trump's not a danger like you make him out to be.
Ripping up parts of the Constitution.
He wouldn't do that.
He said he was going to.
He's not going to.
So I shouldn't believe anything that Donald Trump says. Then.
When
Is
it
that
comes
what you're
to
saying?
crazy stuff like that, he's not doing that.
So when he says things that are crazy, we shouldn't actually believe him. That's the kind of guy you want running the country that says a bunch of crazy things, and your response is, well, just don't believe him. Well, guess what?
It's not just don't believe him. It's that he's not serious.
So you want a president that says crazy things and that's not serious?
You know what, though? I support a dictatorship. I do.
You support
I
dictatorship?
would support a dictatorship,
Wow.
yeah.
That's a whole nother worm of a conversation. I
Yeah.
don't want a dictator running the country. I don't want
I'd prefer it.
Kim Jong-un or Vladimir Putin. I don't want a dictator running
Russia's
the country.
a beautiful place.
I'll take somebody that's a little bit old and not a spring chicken over somebody that is a wannabe dictator. And I believe Donald Trump is a wannabe dictator. It's why he admires Vladimir Putin. You'll never hear him say anything negative about Vladimir Putin or Kim Jong-un. But in closing, I will say this because we got to go. I appreciate you being here. You knew what you were getting yourself into, and you still showed up, so I do appreciate that.
Yeah, it was fun.
And you're welcome back anytime. And it does get fun. We do get a lot of calls. And
I know, dude. I want to get some better people.
It does get fun. It does get fun from time to time.
Yeah.
So you're welcome back anytime. Of course, you and your dad are welcome back anytime, and we all have to have a lunch and talk about this at the Bagel Cafe. Thank you for being here, Sean. I do appreciate it. You and your 5 million followers on Instagram. So, thank you for being here. I do appreciate that.
100%.
There's a rumor, folks, before we end. There's a rumor that I might be getting Donald Trump on the show tomorrow. I don't know if it's true or not yet. I probably won't know until tomorrow morning. But I will tell you, there's a possibility that I could be getting Donald Trump on the show tomorrow for 10 minutes. We're also going to dive into this Aaron Rodgers.
I didn't even hear that.
Jimmy Kimmel controversy. We're going to have to do that tomorrow because we took too many calls today. But that's okay. It's the most interactive show in Las Vegas. Thank you all for joining us on the Occupy Democrats Network, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, you name it. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Follow me on YouTube at PTL Radio Show, on Twitter, X, at PTL Radio Show. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Everybody have a great day.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds